Yes. Welcome, one and all. My brother Will, how are you?
Yeah, I'm living, my boy. Living, my boy. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm here. I've been giving it a lot of thought how I want to approach the pod today in it. Like I've been thinking maybe approach it like this, maybe approach it like that. But nah, we'll live and we'll see. Peoples, this is episode 110 of the OnlyMans podcast. First of all. And you know what it is already. I'm here with the most prestigious, one of the greatest guys to ever do this shit, the most realist, the rawest, the RG head honcho, my guy, Secret Life of Will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course, we have myself, Drizzy Fancies, Driz, YM, Lord Smoke, Lord Poseidon, LS7, Steph, young boy from the Grange, whatever you want to call him, yeah? And as I said, this is the OnlyMans podcast, episode 110. A nice checkpoint episode. I think today is gonna be a little different, but I think it's gonna be good different. How can I go from here? We're not gonna play no music today. We don't need no music today. I think there's gonna be a lot of music in the words that we speak. So we're gonna leave the intro for right now. Maybe at the end. Maybe we'll see. But I think I'll just give the caveat at least of saying we are 110 episodes deep into this podcast series. 110 may not seem like a lot of episodes in the grand scheme of things. And the concept of a podcast, you get online, get some mics, chat some shit with your friends, have a laugh, keep it pushing, you know? And it's really interesting how the human experience manifests itself through so many different mediums. It's so interesting how many things have happened over the course of these 110 episodes, you know? Like things that affects like real life things, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It's so interesting how just the idea of just some guys talking with microphones and just talking, and just how much of an effect, not only an effect it can have on life, but the effect that life has on it as well. I think it's a similar concept to, you think about like rapping and shit, and it's just a guy on a musical beat saying words that rhyme, innit? Like, it's a simple concept. It's a very simple concept, you know? But it's just mad how much real shit can come behind that. And I say all of that to say that I think through the course of these 110 episodes, we've seen a lot of things happen pertaining to personal life that either manifest itself onto the pod or is manifested out of the pod onto real life. And I always think with things like that, like, it's really interesting because without realizing it, it's like a new art form. You know what I mean? Like, it's a version of expression that you're not really able to just do in normal waking life. Although conceptually, it's just there's a microphone and you're talking. Like, all of that is a caveat to say that if you were here last week, episode 109, infamous episode indeed, and we've collectively taken the decision, for the time being at least, that we're not going to put episode 109 up on YouTube. It is still available to listen to on a stereo app, but I'm going to be honest with you, I am going to lock it on the stereo up soon. So if you haven't listened to that and you want to listen to it, you should definitely go and rush to that shit now, because I might even lock that shit partway through this episode, to be fair. You know what I mean? But the reason for that is, again, this podcast, we've said so many times, is a safe space, is a space we can come and talk and be free and be open and, you know what I mean, have debate and have dialogue and all these sort of things. And I think that in a lot of ways, for myself, for Will, even for Johnny when he was around, I think in a lot of ways, the podcast was a very therapeutic place, a place where you could come and just kind of get shit off.
Yeah.
And I think that what can happen a lot of times when you're just going through life is that when you maybe are leaning a bit more into the quote unquote negative side of life, it kind of manifests, especially when you do something like this. And I just think it's and I am going to shut the fuck up in a minute, I swear, I am. But I think this will be a really good opportunity to have a very grown-up adult conversation. You know what I mean? I think this will be a really good opportunity to show growth and self-awareness and maturity and that type of shit. And again, it's not for clout. You know what I mean? At the minute, I'm looking at the audience, there's no one here. And if anything, that kind of makes it better. It kind of solidifies the idea of a safe space. We're not performing to no audience. We're just talking as real ones. And last week, my guy Will definitely was on one, to say the least. We don't need to go into it any further than that, but it was definitely on one. And where being on one in itself isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. A lot of times when we do shit, there's shit that comes behind it. There's shit that's like the basis of the shit. And me and Will had some conversations offline, you know what I mean? Had some talks and some dialogue and stuff. And we thought this would be a very good opportunity to just sort of speak openly and honestly about some of the things that potentially you can struggle with in life, like some of the things that aren't always easy to talk about, some of the things that, you know, can be a bit shit. I wanted to give that caveat, and I wanted to just kind of lay that foundation a bit just to give context and stuff. But I am going to give it over to Will. This may not be a 4-hour podcast. This shit might be an hour and a half. This shit might be 30 minutes. Whatever the fuck this is going to be, I'm hoping that this will be a very constructive dialogue, however it goes. And so, with all of that said, my brother Will, I would ask you to maybe, before we get into the whys and the what is it and the what would be really good is if you just give me your rundown of what happened last week. For a bit of context, if it helps. In my day-to-day, like in my day job shit that I got to do, sometimes we have to do like coaching sessions and shit. And what the guy will ask me, say if there's a particular call I spoke to a customer or something, the guy will ask me, he's like, all right, before you tell me what you did well, before you tell me what you didn't do well, tell me what the shit was about. Just tell me what the shit was about first. So that's my question to you first. Just tell me what happened on last week's pod. If you want to include like what led up to it, if you want to not, whatever, just from your own perspective, just sort of walk me through that.
So, shit. In fact, I'll start from even like while I was at work and shit. Totally forgot that like I was pod day and because I thought it was Friday the whole time.
Yeah.
Not realizing obviously it was Saturday at the time. So I got back. Now me, regular activities. You know what I'm saying? Had a smoke, had a little drink. This is around like 5-ish, half 5-ish, something like that. And then you called them, were like, oh, yo, the pod. I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, oh, shit. I forgot. All right, but let me get ready, fam. started getting ready, sipping a little bit, and then another bottle got introduced. And that's when shit went left. Because I remember starting the pod, but I don't remember why I even took place, man. And like, I was gonna listen to it, but man, man, yeah, shit, yeah, pretty much. So I'll just say, yeah, I just overly overdid it.
Right.
And then that's I guess that's the beginnings of it. And yeah, it went how it went. And then yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd like to just issue an apology to the listeners. You know what I mean? Like that's mad. You know what I mean? We're supposed to represent ourselves in the best light and what have you. Because obviously, if you like join in the community, then that means like the representation also stretched to you. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, man. Yeah, I'd like to apologize, man. Yeah.
Nah, I think that's very dope of you. We're definitely gonna give you one of them. Right. Yeah. That's very dope. But I don't want to cut you. I don't want to overtalk you in this one. Like this one, I actually want to shut the fuck up with it. I'll maybe just put little prompts in so that you can discuss or maybe just kind of respond and ask questions. So, okay. So obviously the episode went the way that it went. Shit got a bit technical. Again, before we even get into the why, maybe take me through at least what you remember or recall or whatever from the point of the podcast ending, or at least the point of you being
the podcast ending. Oh no, I was already basketball.
So you have what's your next point of recollection then from that point?
Like I guess like when it started, but I can't even really recall like what it is that we was talking about. I just remember like the intros and that was a bit like ting. And then yeah, not really a lot.
Okay. Did you work the next day?
Nah, I didn't work the next day. That was
a Sunday, innit? That was a Sunday, innit? Yeah. So it was a Saturday. Right. So all right, take me through the next day then. How did that next day sort of just like how was the next day for you?
Well, the next day I woke up.
Oops, my bad, sorry. Carry on.
Yeah. No, just with like mad hungover. Yeah, like I don't know, like nothing. Yeah, it's just like God damn, I shouldn't have drunk that much. And I looked at my phone. I was like, shit, we cut that shit short like a motherfucker again because he's fucked up.
Right.
And then yeah.
Okay. That's cool. All right, let's start to peel some layers, I guess. From obviously before the pod started and shit, because we had spoken that evening before in it. We had spoken before and shit. Obviously, man, we're talking to you. Said, man, finished work. We kind of just chopped up a bit. Sort of shit. For yourself, was it a conscious thought to be like, yo, it's Friday, we're about to pod, man, I'm gonna get like burst up? Or was it like,
nah, that's what I mean. It was kind of just like by accident because I got like I got like a little, like a small setting, and it was just like, just like kicking it right. But then, the second one got introduced into the picture, and then,
What is it about that second bottle that makes you feel like we have to finish it? Like, I've definitely been there when it's like a thing you don't expect. And it's like, oh shit, now we got, you know what I mean? Where it's like, when you had the first one, you were all right with the first one and you're content with the first one, and you made the provisions to like spare it out enough so you could do your thing. But then the next one comes, and it's almost like a poverty kind of mentality, in it. It's like this next thing comes, and now you just feel like, oh shit, I gotta bust this whole thing, fam, because you know what I mean. It's like it's a very, it's layered, isn't it?
I think it's more so. I don't know how can I say this, man. Yeah, like I was saying to you the other day, it's more so like. It's not like, oh yeah, let's get fucked out, let's finish the thing. This is like, I don't know, it's just like one of those where like, I don't know, there's just, I realized that like, it doesn't happen all the time, but like when it does, there's like something.
It's like Carlsberg, the Carlsberg ad. Carlsberg don't do fucking refrigerators. But if they did refrigerators, they'd be the best refrigerators in the world. Yeah. So you don't find like, it's like
I don't.
Sorry, go on. You talk.
I don't know. I don't like. How do I don't set out to be like, yeah, fucked up. But yeah, once it starts, it's kind of like, fuck it, we in it now, type shit.
Right. And in that fuck it mode, and again, I know it's like you can't exactly speak to the state of mind or whatever at the time, but it's like that point. I know what the answer is for me, but it's a different thing. But it's like at that point where you kind of just say fuck it. Like, what's the feeling at that point? Like, how do you feel at that point?
I don't know, man. Like, to just, because I find that like,
and honestly, bro, like, take as much time as you want to talk as well. Like, if you want to just take a second and think or whatever, like, take as much time as you want as well. Like, it's cool, in it. Well, sorry, go on.
It's like I don't know. It's probably bad, but it's like it's like opening the door and stepping outside into silence.
Like a right.
Because obviously there comes a certain point where it's like there's not much thinking going on.
Yeah, of course.
That shit. And like, I don't know, I feel like I don't know, man. I feel like I just kind of, I've always kind of been like that though. I've always been a do or die kind of guy. And if we're doing it, we're doing it to the full. Do you know what I mean? I've always been like a do or die kind of guy.
Right.
Like all in.
Okay.
So I'm not sure like how far that goes or where that shit comes from, but like even like the uni times, I'm sure like you'll remember the absolute days and shit. It's like when
absolute days.
Yeah, when man like get in the bag, like man's in the bag. You know what I mean? Comfortably sitting.
No, I definitely
head out the top breathing.
No, I definitely hear that, man. Like, I'm very similar. Like, one thing I know about myself is like, I have an addictive personality in it. Like, that's something I've known about myself for a long time. Like, if I like some shit, I want to be able to do the shit as much as I want to do it until I'm sick of it. Like, if I like chocolate cake, I want to eat 7 chocolate cakes in a row until I'm sick of the taste of chocolate cake. Then I'm like, I know that about myself in it. Yeah. And I can definitely relate and empathize to that thing of like, if we're going to do it, let's do it in it. Like, there's no point to do it and be cute with it. Like, if we're going to, okay, so I'll explain it from my side, and then again I'll toss it back to you to maybe sort of thing in it. Because I don't think this conversation needs to solely be about last week's pod. I think last week's pod can just act as a springboard for a bigger conversation type of thing. And like, again, in some of the offline conversations we had, I was sort of just, sort of relaying my story. And like, again, for those who may not know, we're in 2023 now. Maybe around 2019, 2020, maybe even 21, but that might have been the tail end of it. But I was drinking a lot. I was drinking a lot, fam, like a lot in it. And I explained this to Will, but I'll just explain it for those listening. Like, I'm someone who is fortunate enough where a lot of my vices are things that I connect, at least on a surface level, I guess, to like positive shit. Meaning, when man started smoking, I didn't start smoking out of a need to cope with some shit or as an escape to some shit. Like, I started smoking because man was in a vibe with some people and that, and people were like, yo, try this, man. And man did that shit, and it was dope, and it was an amazing time. And when I link up with my G's and we doing music and shit, we'll spark that shit up, and there's like a community type feel about it. Like, it's linked to positive things in it. Like, it's linked to good shit. When I think back to when I first started drinking alcohol, we looking back to maybe like, I have this one memory. This is when I lived back in Leeds. I might have been like 15, 16 around the time. This is like the tail end of me being at church. And we is it a funeral? I think it's like a funeral, but it's like the after bit of a funeral. And I'm not sure how like Africans might do that, how some people might do it, but like on a Caribbean thing, after a funeral, people will go to like a community center, and there'll be food and there'll be music and people eat and talk. It kind of just becomes a vibe type thing.
No, we just do all that there. The uncles crack the beers. The aunties cook them big ass pots of the shit, fam.
Right. But you turned into a vibe with it. But I remember I was there. I was with my set of cronies, my people, them, my G's, like the girl them, the man them, And I remember this was around the time where I was beginning to start to feel separate from the rest of that shit. Again, if anyone who doesn't know, man, I'm from Leeds. I moved away from Leeds on some mad shit, whatever, cool. But like, when those things were... Yeah, bro, go back to like episode like 23 and shit, bro. Like, we done that already. Like, that's the abridged version. But it's like, when man started to kind of feel that separation of like, like, I don't feel like I belong here. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? It was kind of like not the earliest, but just early stages of that shit. And I remember it was me, it was like the girl I was dealing with, and then like our other people and shit that was there. And I remember it was like this kind of awkward thing. And I remember I felt really awkward. And I felt really like, oh shit, like maybe they don't even want me to like chill with them and shit. And I remember, because again, there's we church people, there's people that don't go to church that go to these things in it. So people have drink around and da-da-da-da-da. And I remember there was like a bottle of wine. The shit might have been like 1%. It wasn't no mad thing, but I remember, man, like, man was like, oh, yo, should I grab the wine? And everyone was like, oh, laughing, da-da-da-da-da. And I remember, man grabbed the wine, and man was like, yo. And he was like, yo, don't let no one see you do that, you know? I was like, yeah, nah, cool, saying that, isn't it? So I'm like sipping it, low key, sipping it. And like, I'm starting to feel a bit burst, but I'm like playing up to the burstness a little bit to like make the G's them and the gal them laugh and like, you know what I mean? I'm like playing it up a little bit type shit. And I remember doing that and feeling like, rah, like I'm making them laugh and shit, like I'm making them fuck with me and shit, like, yeah, like it's a vibe type thing. And even that, when you think about it, comes from a place of insecurity. And as I kind of think through my own journey, because alcohol was always something that was kind of like available to drink, but I was never really too like in it. It was like, oh yeah, man, I'll do it because it's the thing to do. When I started going out and shit, like going nightclubs and that, like it's like, oh, people drink at nightclubs, so like, yeah, drink then. But you know what I mean? And I think it wasn't really until man like moved away from the city and came like Wolfside and really started drinking. And fast forward to the point I'm talking about, where it's like, again, that sort of 2020 time where man were drinking a lot in it. And for me, because again, I live with my girl and shit, and obviously your girl be saying shit to you and people be saying shit to you, and then you go to your mum's yard and you burst, and now they saying shit to you. And do you get what I mean? Like, it's a lot of things. And it's like, it got to the point for me, because my whole thing was always like, yo, I'm cool in it. I just enjoy doing it. It just makes me feel nice and I'm cool in it. But again, when there are people around you and the people continue to say the same thing, it's like at some point, if you have any kind of like self-awareness type shit, you'll be like, if all these people that fuck with me are saying the same thing, maybe I should take a look at it at least. At the very least, like take a look at it and type shit. And for me, it was really a journey of trying to understand why. Because even in the, it makes me feel nice. It's like, okay, well, why? And outside of the biological and chemical shit, it's like, what is it about that? And for me, what I realized was it made me feel free. That's the best way I can describe it. Like, it made me feel free. It made me feel like all of the things I think about on a day to day and all of the sort of pressures that man have in life and these things I got to do and this and that and, you know, even insecurities and certain things. It's like when man sip and get ting, like I feel free of all that. I almost like the way I've tried to explain it to my girl is like, I feel like childlike joy. Like I just feel free, like a child is free. Do you get what I mean? Like I just feel free of all that shit. And what I, again, had to realize to myself is like, there's nothing wrong with wanting to feel that way, but there's always area to improve in the ways you get yourself to feel that way. Do you get what I mean? There's always areas to improve that shit. Again, I'm not one of those people who is like, you shouldn't drink alcohol because mama, and you shouldn't smoke because mama, and you shouldn't do pills, and you shouldn't do... Like, my thing is, at the end of the day, human beings have the capacity of addiction and shit. Like, motherfuckers are addicted to coffee and shit. Motherfuckers are addicted to work. Motherfuckers are addicted to porn. Motherfuckers are addicted to fucking whatever, gambling, anything, bro. Like, human beings have the capacity for that. And my thing is like, the Bible says God made man in his image in it. And my thing is, anything that human beings have the capacity to do, there's a reason why they have the capacity to do that. And for me, I'm more about embracing the shit as opposed to looking at it as a negative part of your shit. My thing is like, yo, you like feeling good, you like feeling free, and you like feeling blessed. That's something about yourself that you should embrace in it. That's something about yourself you shouldn't reject, you shouldn't think. But what you can do is begin to tailor your method as to how you get to that feeling. Do you get what I mean? So again, a caveat just to sort of set the shit, but it's like, for you, what is it about, say, drinking? Like what is it for you if you had to describe it, right?
You know what it is? I realized. I remember. I think I said this to you the other time, like a couple of weeks back, and I was like, "Yo, I think I kind of like kind of starting to figure it out. It's like, let's say, like even in terms of like music and all that, yeah. It's not like man can't do it no more. It's not like man don't want to do it no more. Do you know what I mean? It's not like man's this thing, but it's like I just don't trust the moves that I make no more.
Right.
And
right.
I know exactly when that started. When I violated the spirit of the thing. And then, ever since then, it's just never been the same. When I took down, first of all, when I took down the frequency theory, that was one. And then there's a whole other project, fucking dope, and there's supposed to be like in fact, it was supposed to be part one of that thing, and then the frequency theory thing was supposed to be part two, but then ended up like not going with that one, not because I didn't like it or thing, but it's just like at that time, that project was already done. It was ready. It was packaged. The packaging was ready to go. Where the other one, it was still like in progress, if you will.
Right.
But then, yeah, man, fucking took that shit down in times of crisis without going too far into the details. Took that shit down, deleted a bunch of, I guess, mixes and other shit that I had done for the other project, and then just left it. And it's like, yeah.
You feel like that was the point, it started to like go south sort of shit?
Around that time there, I had this thing where like, all that stuff was happening like at that time. And I think in a way, I kind of like split from myself to kind of like shield myself, if you will. Like I kind of decoupled myself from like my child me, so I could like shield that motherfucker.
Yeah.
But then
I understand. Yeah.
It never like I haven't like figured out how to like undo the protective. Yeah. It's like, but now the motherfucker getting suffocated. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like all the shit, and then obviously, like all that will manifest as like, oh, you trying to like find comfort in something, whatever it might be, 5 magnums or fucking whatever. It's like, yeah, but that's not gonna do it, because you're just gonna wake up tomorrow and you're still like trying to protect yourself. I get it, but you suffocating yourself at the same time. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, I think a lot of it comes from just being kind of mad at the decisions that I'm not even kind of like very.
Yeah, talk truth, man. Talk the real shit, man. Yeah.
Very like, very, 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 very angry with them. Like the fact that I did that to myself. Not to say that like no other outside factors were there, but it's like if I had just.
You feel like you violated yourself in a sense, like right.
If I had just not like, I don't know, if I had just not fucking been trying to seek Yeah, because really, I want all that shit to go away. Oh, that would do it, right? Yeah, all that shit's got, that would do it. But it didn't.
But it didn't, and that's always the case.
No, it did not. It did not. And then, yeah, man, I don't know. Ever since then, it's just been like, yeah.
Do you feel like? Do you feel angry at yourself because of that?
Mostly.
Or do you feel like the anger is there's kind of maybe different things or different people you might feel anger towards?
Mostly me, but
Yeah.
I'm not alone in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah, I'm interacting with people.
Yeah. No, of course.
But it's more so to be in the sense that like, how do I you gotta like defend yourself.
You go into DEFCON mode. Yeah, you go into DEFCON mode, like batten down the hatches, like fuck everything else. Yeah.
But it's like, in each of those interactions, you're not defending yourself. You know what I mean? You like letting it, but it shouldn't be like that.
I want to. Oh, go on. Sorry. Go ahead. Keep going. Go.
Yeah, and then of course the conversation starts there, like, oh, well, why'd you know what? Oh, why'd you like? Yeah, there was a day when I got into work, like I think it was like Monday or something like that. Got into work straight away and said man to the big office, man, like, yeah, fuck, cool. And the whole time when I was going, I was like, I bet you they're gonna send me to the in the big office. It's fucking mad. Phones ringing, pages paging, fucking people walking in and out talking about this, asking about this. Your fam can do this. Do you know how to do that? It's fucking mad, bro. The last thing I need on a Monday morning. Especially like, yeah, I was still kind of tender. Not gonna lie.
Right.
But yeah, went in there, sat down, started saying up my shit. Oh, do you mind going in the big office? In my head, I was like, fuck that. But then out loud, I was like, oh, and not to say like that's one thing, that's not that like, it's like, that's like a micro thing.
Do you feel as though you allow a lot of shit, or you just like allow a lot of shit, or just kind of like where maybe your natural reaction, as you said just then with the big office thing, it's like, really, you want to be like, bro, no, fam. But do you feel like a lot of times in life you just kind of more so like, you know what, fuck it, like just fuck it, whatever. Type shit.
Man. I think the confrontation thing has never really been my thing. You know what I mean? Never really like been down that shit. I don't like that energy. I don't like how it moves with my body. I don't like how that shit goes.
Has there ever been, like, if you can think back, do you think there was like a confrontation that you had that kind of just made you feel like, nah, I don't like this shit? Like, it don't have to be no mad thing, but like, is there any sort of point that you can remember where like that shit happened, and from there you're like, yeah, I don't want to do that again? Like,
yeah, and coincidentally, I ended up in a similar and even worse scenario some years down the line.
right.
I remember like there's like a very like first year times or second year times the same like that. At Vicky's. I don't know if you were there at the time when these like
if it was
all had a
Vicky's,
party and yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, go carry on.
What's his name? Kundai. Her boy's cousin. Were you there that day?
I wasn't there, but I heard about the.
Oh, you
but
that
go,
whole
but
saga.
go. Yeah.
That whole saga. Yeah. In fact, no, that was way deeper down the line still, because like now we like, you know what I'm saying? We like together and shit.
Because I remember like he used to like roll with man, innit? Like I remember Kunda used to like roll with man, like
because that scenario there. But yeah, that's another time for another story. But yeah,
that's a story for a different instrumental.
You get me? Couple of like some, I don't know, maybe weeks, months down the line or something like that. There's like had another party or. So yeah, we went there, you know me, conducting like a couple or whatever. But then something happened. And like, yeah, she started going off, yeah, this, that, yeah, poking man and shit, yeah. Went into that little corridor, the corridor where all the rooms and that shit. You come out of the kitchen and you hear the corridor and shit. Yeah. And I remember I just lost it, and I was like, yo, what the fuck? Yeah, I just like screaming at this girlfriend. And then, yeah, a bunch of, I think like Sam and them man came in, she's like, yo, what's happening? What's happening? And I was like, I never want to like do that again. Do you know what I mean? That's
right.
The fact that like,
you got to that point.
I never want to like do that again.
All right. You can go into it as much or as little as you want. But again, because I'm not even too thin on this, but like, did something particular like happen with you and this girl that like
it wasn't even anything in particular. It was one of them like probably just started out the joke like, you looking at that girl, blah blah blah. And then what you mean? Yeah, took your man. Yeah.
And then just a mad thing. Do you remember what you felt at that time? Like, do you remember how you felt when you just exploded? Like,
my whole thing was like, like, it's not even that. Let's like talking it. You ain't gotta be shouting and poking man and all them things there. Like, it's talking it. But yeah, just remember being like, yeah. And then, just shouting. But like, not like shouting like I'm shouting somebody across the street. Like,
rage,
shouting. Like,
rage.
These men heard me shouting like over the music at them parties, man. Like shouting.
Yeah.
And I was like, never, fam. Never want to do that again, fam. And then, life things. That was in it. But this time, took a completely different stance. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, shit. Just, my fault. Yeah, damn, shit. Yeah, my fault. Shit. Yeah, goddamn. My fault.
Alright.
I was like, that will pass it over. And
yeah, that will pave over the shit. Alright, I'm gonna add a little bit of context here. And again, I obviously respect privacy, anonymity, all that sort of thing there. So we're not gonna, do nothing like that. But for the context for the people that are listening, when Will talks about deleting like music and stuff and taking music down and stuff, it's essentially in regards to a relationship that didn't work out. I think that's the best blanket way to just say it without getting too into shit. And having been someone who's been through one of those relationships that didn't work out, and it has a very lasting effect on you that I can definitely like empathize and understand. It's like, do you feel like anything from that whole experience has contributed to any of those feelings of anger?
Oh yeah, loads of things, man.
Right.
Loads of things.
Right.
Like, yeah, I don't know, man. Felt like my weaknesses were exploited, but there's nothing I could do about it. Do you know what I mean?
Right. And that's like an exposing feeling, isn't it? Like,
in fact, not even weaponized. I'll say that.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I can't fight that.
Because when that happens, it naturally causes you to go into defense mode, innit? Like, naturally, you want to defend yourself because you feel like you're being like attacked and shit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely. Well, I won't say just me. I feel like we definitely both were like on the edge of like snap and never come back type shit.
Right.
Like,
And again, I know. Go on, sorry. Go on. No, go ahead.
I remember this one time during them times after like that my mum was shit. And like, she got old man, so obviously stepped outside, walking around the neighborhood and shit. And it's like, fucking hell. Like, even over the phone, it just looks fucking mad. Man's just like walking through the neighborhood, just like fucking defending myself. No, and then, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it was just a madness, fam. I even started like sprinting, fam, as if to like be like trying to
like
run
you're
away.
running
So, like,
away. Right.
yeah, but I got the phone in my hand, so I'm running with the conversation. Like, defo on the like brink of like tweaking. Man would have been like, oh yeah, nah, but these used to be quite smart still. Don't know what happened to them, bro.
Yeah,
it used to be cool because I don't even know how. Yeah, shit. It's a shame, man.
it is mad how women bring that out of you, in it. Like, it's, and I don't just mean in a negative way. I just mean altogether. It's like even parts of ourselves that we sometimes don't even really, you know what I mean? I don't really think it's like a woman can bring that out of you, even in a good way or a bad way. Do you know what I mean? There's just some sort of weird interconnectivity that they have. You know what I mean? It's okay. What would I ask? No, that's not a good question. I'll ask a better question. With everything that you've sort of spoke to me about today, and like everything you kind of said, you've been in the process of just kind of understanding properly for yourself and shit. Where do you think that you are currently?
I think I'm at the beginning, I would say.
Right.
Because I don't think, and I think even more so that like is probably also an adding factor. Like, some of the shit like is sinking in. You know what I mean? Thinking back to some of the shit, and it's like, shit, that's a bad thing. But then I'm also thinking back to like other times, previous times. And I'm like, you let yourself look for a mad thing for these girls.
You preaching to the choir, bro. You preaching to the choir, bro.
Listen. Yeah. And you know what's even mad as well, fam? yeah, my work, yeah. It's a lot of that. Like the shit that I'll be like posting, it's like, oh yeah, relationships breaking down, or like in toxic relationship, or like shit like that, or you know what I mean.
Bro. Even where I work, bro, and the shit that I do, like that be a lot of shit that come in from, like, yeah, for real.
Like, damn.
Do something.
See, but you see what, because I've noticed, I remember the exact moment and like the shift of just like a split. And now like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like everything just looked different. You know what I mean? Like,
in what way though? Like in what way?
Just, I don't know. It just, yeah, everything just looked mad different. It was just more like vivid, but like in a harsh way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like hyper alert type shit.
Right. Okay. Which puts you even more into defense mode, isn't it? Like
more so.
It's so hyper alert of all the potential, all the like little things.
I felt it. I was like, yeah, something's definitely split. Something's definitely like come and done it.
And you feel like it was
one side over here.
That experience.
Yeah, right. Man. Like I can feel one side over here and I can feel one side over here. This side here, like, is trying to do battle, but this side here is also resonating with with the weaponized weaknesses.
Right. Okay. And so what I would ask, and I'm not asking you to give me the answer or the cure. That's not what I'm asking you. But what I'm asking you is just where you are today, right now. What do you think, not what the two sides are doing separately, but what do you think that it is that's keeping them separate at this minute? Again, you don't have to give the right answer. It's just what you think, if you think anything. If not, say, nah, I don't think that. But like, just from maybe what
it's
you
like,
can sort of
use. You know, like in the Matrix.
Okay.
When an agent like takes over someone.
Okay.
Like the assimilation, and then like the person like becomes the agent, or like
Smith.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they become the Smith. It's like the inner child look at the other side like it's a Smith. Nah.
It's like, have you seen Get Out, the film?
Yeah.
Kind of like that when they go to the sunken place. It's almost like you're separated from yourself type shit. Like, or is it more the Matrix thing?
More so like, how do I explain it, man? It's like, it will be, I guess, a growing process for the inner child, but I don't know. It just wants to be comfortable, but obviously growing is not comfortable. It hurt a little bit sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Do you think it's almost like it's almost like the caterpillar who doesn't want to go into the cocoon because being in the cocoon is a really shit experience, but it's the only way you can become a butterfly.
You don't tend to beat my nigga. Yeah, shit, inside that cocoon. I seen Larry last week, man. We've been in there since last week, and ain't shit happened to Larry.
And you can be in the cocoon, and a bird can just a bird can just come and eat you, or you know what I mean, anything can happen to you. It's such a vulnerable place to be in it. Like, I understand that, because again, when people speak about like, oh, you know, you gotta go in the cocoon, you become a butterfly, it's like people tend to neglect that period of time when you're in the cocoon and really what that's like, because it's not an easy process. And like, I remember something, I think it was my mom who said it to me. Like years ago, just in passing. But we're having a conversation, I think, about like being rich and shit and da-da-da-da-da. It's like, listen, you know, being rich, it's not an easy thing, you know. Don't ever grudge people the things that they have, because you don't know what they had to do or go through to get them. You never know. And if it was easy, then everybody would be rich. Do you get what I mean? So don't ever see anybody who has something and grudge them for their things, because you don't know what they've had to go through in life to be in that position today. And I think like it's so easy to neglect the part of the story. Again, I'll go back to the Bible just for reference. Jesus is born, Bethlehem, the star, the wise men, the this, the cool. And then he a youth for a little bit. And then he fucks off for like 10, 15 years, blood. And then he come back and he him, fam. Now, the story never really gets into that period of time where he fucks off in it. It never really gets into that. Because the glamorous part of the story is that he comes back and he's him, bro.
And he's a rock star.
But it's like, what was that period of time that he had to go through to come back and be that? Like, do you get what I mean? What was it that happened type shit? And I think a lot of times, man, in this process of growing and trying to just be the best version of yourself, even through fucked up means sometimes, I feel like it's really understated how difficult that road could be. Not even to get into no red pill Andrew Tate fucking shit like that. But I think especially for like men, boys, dudes, like in this time where there aren't really a lot of spaces where men can go and talk and just sort of like, you know, honestly, I've been feeling fucked up for the last how long? Like, there's not really a lot of that, because bitches are going to call you a loser or call you an incel or call you this or call you that. And not that those things don't exist, but it's like there's not really a space where you're able to be vulnerable with just unlimited support. Meaning, as a gal, innit, like you can, just hypothetically, you can jump on your socials and be like, oh, I'm feeling really down today and and you're just going to get, there'll be trolls and shit, whatever, but you're just going to get a bunch of support. Oh my God, girl, keep your head up. You're so beautiful. Oh my God. Like, there's open lines of communication for that vulnerability to be expressed in it. And the woman will never be judged for expressing that vulnerability. Listen, my girl, my dog, cry at the drop of a hat, fam. Like, bro, look at her too long, bawling, fam. Cry at the drop of a hat, fam. Do you get what I mean? And it's like, there's no kind of, and I've spoken to her about it and shit. And she's like, honestly, I can't even control it, to be fair. Like, I'll just start bawling in it. Like, I'll just start crying about some shit. And it's like, it's mad, because although coming up, you know, mum would always say, you know, it's okay for boys to cry and through the process of life kind of teaches you as a man that there is kind of a certain level of, you gotta just deal with the shit that you learn through life being a man in it. Like, all of that, like the mental health shit, and like that's cool. It's cool, and I get it, and I get it, but life teaches a lot of men that you have to deal with it by yourself, and that nobody gives a fuck. That's a cruel lesson that a lot of men have to learn, and whenever you try to express that as a man, usually you're going to be told, well, at least you're not a woman, and at least you don't have to, and at least it's a lot of times that kind of expression from a man isn't going to be met with like empathy or with understanding. It's going to be met with, oh, you're speaking from a position of privilege. And that might even be true. But it doesn't negate the fact that a lot of men still struggle with that shit, you know? And again, I say all of that to sort of come back around to kind of what we're talking about and shit. I can answer first if you want me to break the ice, I don't mind. But I'll ask you, describe to me your relationship with alcohol.
I don't know, man. It's like it's like a wormhole.
Okay.
To explore.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying, like, well, not trying, but like, yeah, just absent for a bit.
Okay.
And the calculating and the noise and the shit, and like good feeling shit, and fucking all that shit of this ish for a sec.
Yeah. It quietens the internal noise in a weird way. Even if there's a lot of external noise, there's a weird. Because maybe quiet isn't even the right term. I don't want to speak for you in it, but it's like there's almost like again, lack of a better term, like an escape type of thing. Like it's almost you don't experience the internal noise for that period. Like it's almost like you're standing outside of yourself, or like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's like I don't know. It's like diversion after diversion after diversion, because the thing that locks the focus is offline.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Might think some shit, but like, shit about the England women's team. Yeah, fuck it. Oh, nah. Yeah. Yeah, man. But, yeah. Yes. So, I think I've realized that, like, obviously, not even like gotta chill out, but like, yeah, just gotta not do that shit for no reason. And at some point, I will have to delve into the mysteries of like all that shit, like properly, without shutting it off when it gets to like the crazy bit.
Nah, I hear you. I think,
you know what I mean?
For myself,
like watching a horror movie, and then like when it gets to the like proper gory bit, you just like pause it.
I think they call that edging, innit? Like, they call that edging, right?
Yeah,
that's
edging, right? I'm gonna watch it. And then you start again from the beginning, from like, okay, yeah, so like, I understand this, it's getting fucked,
Nah.
So yeah, at some point, like, that, yeah, that's a thing that I'm gonna have to undertake. I don't know how, you know, yeah.
And I think the point isn't necessarily to have the answers right now, in it. Do you get what I mean? I think even just kind of knowing that, you know what, that is something I'm gonna have to undertake could be enough for now. You know, like again, I know for myself when I was going crazy, like the thing that I had to really do, because again, I think differently about this sort of stuff in it. Like I just think of it differently, and like I don't think there's. Okay, all right. Okay, okay. Let me reel it back a bit. I believe that most of the things that we call vices, most of the things that people kind of use for whatever reason, I don't believe that they necessarily have to have a positive or a negative connotation. I believe that the vices work how we use them, if that makes sense. Meaning somebody who's like a coding genius can use their coding smarts to create a website that's really helpful for people and improve technology and da-da-da-da-da. Or somebody could use it to hack into people's shit and steal all their information. Like the skill set itself doesn't have a positive or a negative connotation. It's how you use the skill set that determines it. Yeah. And as someone who used to, again, we will speak, and I think this might have been before, like the latter days before we started the pod, like kind of that period where I would call you on like my lunch break and shit, and we would chop it up, and if I was working from home and shit. And like, man used to say like Ray Mondays, in it. For anyone who doesn't know, Ray and Nephew, the alcoholic beverage, you can just Google it and see for yourself. But man used to wake up with like the intent purpose of getting twists off that Ray. Like, I wasn't doing it to be cute. I wasn't doing it to try and catch a vibe. Like, man, that whole day was dedicated to getting raw. So, do you get what I mean? And coming from that sort of a space, one thing I realized about myself, because like, again, I'm an ill nigga in it. So like, I'll use a lot of my addictions in like, in like combination and shit. Do you get what I mean? And so like between alcohol, between pornography, between fucking weed and shit, it's like when I started to do more inner work and really try to figure out why. Because to me, I'm having a whale of a time. Some titties on the screen, motherfucker got his drink, got his weed, like, bro, I'm having a great time, bro. This is wonderful. This is the most fun time I can have, bro. I'm good, bro. Do you get what I mean? But it's like, when you start to ask yourself, all right, like, why does it take all of that for you to feel that way? Outside of it just being late, it's like, what I realized for myself, and again, I'm not projecting this onto you, I'm just sharing my story and hopefully it'll help in it. But it's like, what I realized about myself was that release of dopamine that I would get from doing that shit, and that release of like oxycontin and shit that I would, not oxycontin, oxytocin, sorry. Like those chemical releases from the brain. I was doing that because internally, I didn't feel like I had accomplished the things that I should have accomplished. Internally, I kind of felt like a bit of a failure in myself. And so man would use these vices to create an artificial dopamine release to give man the same feeling of fucking like, yeah, we just signed this big check, or yeah, we just did this. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like I was creating like a fantasy for myself to get dopamine release from. And like, when I kind of realized that, I had to sort of accept like, right, you know what? Okay. That means that really the way that you feel is you feel like you haven't accomplished all the things that you should have accomplished. You feel like there are things that you should have done or you would want to have done by now that you haven't. There's part of you that feels like you failed. There's part of you that feels like you're let down. And like, I had to embrace that I felt that way in order to change my relationship with alcohol. You get me? Because until I was able to embrace that, the alcohol could always serve as a conduit to me just feeling better. If I feel a bit shit and that, man can just sip something and I'm just going to feel good, bro. I'm going to be cracking jokes. I'm going to be laughing. Like, I'm good in it. But it's like, for myself, I didn't want to get to the place where I would start to depend on it to feel good. Because to me, that's the line between enjoying some shit and having a problem where it's like there's a dependency that's created. And I think I spoke to you about this kind of offline and shit, but that's why, like, I remember one of the sort of first things I kind of did. And again, remind you at this point, I'm drinking like every day, bro. Like, I'm going ham in it. And I said to myself, you know what, bro, for a week, I'm just not going to drink, bro. Like, I want to prove to myself that I can do that. And if I can't do that, then I have to accept that maybe everything my girl's been saying and maybe everything my mum said, maybe everything all these people have said might have some validity. Maybe I might have a problem type shit.
Yeah.
And I had to go into it with the openness enough to maybe be wrong. Because if you go into it on some like confirmation bias shit, then you're going to try and find all sorts of ways to justify shit all the time, innit? And it's like, thankfully for myself, I think because I kind of understand why I use certain vices, like I was able to do that. And even just taking that break and kind of reflecting and shit. And it's been like, right, you know what? I don't actually need to do this. Like, I'm okay. And I thought I might have felt fucked up, but I'm all right. Do you get what I mean? And like doing those sort of things, like I found really helped me in regard to that particular thing. And it really helped me begin to define my own relationship with it. Because man's still sick and man's still like, like, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I'm not one of them niggas in it. Like, I'm not fucking, this is not a fucking daytime special. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to keep it chilling. There for me, the alcohol is never the problem. It's always what the alcohol does to you. That's the problem. Do you know what I mean? Whatever it does to you will be whatever any issue causes. And it's like, for me, I want to at least be cognitive and aware enough of issues that I may have so that they don't have to live within my subconscious mind. Do you get what I mean? Like, so if I have certain insecurities and shit, I might not be able to fix that right now, but I at least want to be aware enough of it so that I don't allow it to be triggered by just anything. Do you get what I mean? It's like, that's kind of how I try to look at shit, man. And so, again, I'm going to toss back to you and I'm going to say, I'm going to ask, if you could, if you could go back to that whole time in that relationship, and not do it all over, but I mean, go back almost as like a visitor to that time so you can see yourself going through it and see it happening, like type shit. What do you think you would say to yourself with where you are now in life? Like, what do you think you would say to yourself to maybe try and help yourself or educate yourself? And I'm saying yourself in the past, like going through that whole shit, like,
What would I say to me, man? I would say be careful the things that you wish for or accept, whether that be people, things, whatever it might be. Just be careful the things that you accept. And also, just your instincts, man. They're never wrong. Never wrong, man. Just go with that shit, man. Because if you don't, you're going to get to a point where you won't be able to, like, trust that. And now you gotta work that shit. to get it back. I mean,
another hypothetical question. Yeah. Another hypothetical question. Obviously, you've lived through the experience of doing it this way in terms of you took the music down, you deleted the shit, and you've kind of lived through the whole process to here. Hypothetical. How do you think it would have gone if you decided that you weren't gonna take anything down and you're gonna leave it up? Like, how do you think it would have? And again, if you want to just talk as you think through it and shit, like I'm trying to just alley it up to you in it, but like, how do you think that process would have gone as opposed to how it's gone this way around?
I think
up till now. I mean, like up till now.
The whole thing would have gone probably the same, but up till now, I think I'd overall feel like, I can still make the move. I mean, I still have like confidence in the decisions. In fact, it'll probably even be more so. I mean,
you spoke to feeling a split in yourself during that whole situation, and obviously I've asked you like how you think that it would go and stuff. So, do you not think that because, and again, we making assumptions here, we don't have to go into details of that, but or at least I'm making assumptions because I only know the bits I know, but my assumption would be
the music takedown happened after the split.
Okay. But I'm sure there was a reason for that. In fact, fuck the assumption. Let me ask you outright. Why did you take it down?
Because it was like, at that time, it was like petrol on the fire.
Right.
I just like kept tipping every once in a while and just the flame goes massive. So I thought, if I just take away the petrol and put the lid on that shit, put that shit on the shelf, the fire might like chill a bit. But obviously there's still petrol and still burning.
And see,
it's still going mad.
It's so mad in it because what you learn like as the years go on and shit, especially in regards to like women who, not even a disrespectful way, nothing like that, but women who potentially aren't as emotionally involved or mature as they may need to be in particular situations. What you kind of realize is that emotion is a self-sustaining fuel. Like it burns on itself and produces itself, and like it's kind of whatever you do, if the emotion is directed at you, it's going to be directed at you. But again, back to that man shit we're talking about. As a man, you want to be able to do something to alleviate your situation. You want to be able to change your environment. Like, if I just do this or I just do that. Like, bro, there are sometimes man have been in the crib looking at some of these bills and shit and just thinking like, bro, like I can't pay all this shit, bro. Like I can't pay all this shit. And it makes you feel so fucked up. And one thing about me, like when I feel that way, I'll start like, all right, let me fucking look, see if I got some old shit, I might put it up on sale and shit. Let me go and start posting the merch. Let me go and start like, I want to do something that will hopefully cause some chain reaction that can make things better. Like I want to do something, you know what I mean? And I think even in like from what you said about taking the music down and shit, it's like, it sounds like you were in a position where shit was fucked up, but it seemed like the shit was making it worse. And it's like, if I just do this, it's cool. Like, it's alright. The music's still here. It's cool. I got it. Like, if I just do this for now, then and as you said, probably what I'm picking up from you, from what you've said about, especially that whole part, and you feeling like you taking that shit down was kind of the the checkpoint of the shit really kind of thing. And like, what I'm picking up from you is that you haven't forgiven yourself in regard to that. And if you haven't,
working on that. Yeah,
that's cool. Like, it's better you at least be able to say to yourself, like, honestly, nah, I haven't. I still feel like I did myself that day. Like, it's better to know that than not know that, innit? And it's like, that's probably the beginning aspect that you're gonna want to like focus on a lot. Because again, from just things that I'm picking up from just talking to you, it's that seems to be a very pivotal point where you kind of look back and you're like, it was from when I did that that I stopped trusting myself. You know what I mean? And it's very, especially in the artistic field, like it's a very heavy chip to have on your shoulder when you get to that space of like not trusting your artistic decision.
Yeah.
And thinking, well, like what if it, or what if it, or what if it, you know what I mean? And it's like, for myself, again, I can't give you the answer. I can't do anything like that. I can only, as one brethren to another, share my story and hope that you're able to take from it. But it's like, for myself, I had to try to forgive myself for all of the times I felt like I fucked up. Because it sounds mad, but even through like the fucked up shit, it's like if I'm just talking about music, for example, there was still some great shit that was created through that. Do you get what I mean? Man, I got some shit that when I listen to it, I don't even really like to listen to it because it reminds me of the state I was in when I recorded it type shit.
Yeah.
But when, people hear it, people are like, yo, nah, this is fire, bro. Do you get what I mean? It's like, all of it serves a purpose. And I know I'm just using music as an example. It's not always about that, but it's just, even in the space of feeling like maybe you haven't completely forgiven yourself, there's purpose in feeling that way in it. And your mission really is to treat it like the video games back on the N64. Like, when you complete the level and you go through the portal to go to the next level, but then it just takes you back to the same level, but it's because you haven't done something on that level. So you just keep replaying it. And it doesn't tell you what the fuck it is. There's no cheat codes or anything back then. Like, you have to just figure it out. But it's like that type thing in it. It's like, if you still, even after all this time, still feel like, I don't trust those decisions. I don't trust like that side or whatever. Like, you have to at least come to some peace with knowing that you don't trust it, but knowing that that's okay, because a part of your own healing journey is taking the chance on yourself, even if you don't always 100% trust it. Do you get what I mean? It's like, it's part of the shit. It's part of the shit, and I think that it's very easy for us to distract ourselves and very easy for us to find things to pacify shit. And we all do it. Like, we can't, like, we all fucking do it. But I think in doing that, it's at least important to understand that you're doing that. Because even sometimes, sometimes you just need to fucking pacify yourself. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes, bro, the baby bawling, just give him the little binky, fam. Like, sometimes, bro, the baby just want the fucking binky in it. Like, whatever. Do you get what I mean? As long as you don't become reliant on the binky or whatever, like, sometimes just give the baby the binky in it. And it's like, I think in the same way, we have to just try to understand where we really are. And not only understand it, but love ourselves in spite of how we might think or feel about ourselves. Because again, especially when you're smart and you kind of tapped into some shit that's going on, it's very easy to look at your own life and be able to pick apart all of the failures in your life, innit? And it's like, you have to, or at least have to try to embrace the imperfection, man. Like, for real, bro. Like, and I'm not saying this just to you, it's like broader than just that, but I'm saying you have to just try to embrace that we are imperfect beings and that we are going to fuck up and that we are sometimes just going to be like shit in it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we're just not going to be great sometimes. But that's okay.
In nature, like, nothing's like perfect. There's no like perfect circles, perfect straight lines.
Bro, at some point the leaves fall off the tree, fam. No matter what the fuck the tree do, fam, the tree could be the best tree in the goddamn world, nigga. At some point the leaves are gonna fall off, bro, because that's just the cycle of what the shit is. Do you know what I mean? There's no preventing it, there's no running from it. And the more you try to run from it, the more it's gonna catch you. Like,
yeah.
Kanye said it in his song, bro, like, we're all liars. Do you know what I mean? Every single one of us, bro. And obviously people hear the word liar and be like, I'm not a... It's the spirit of what the words mean. Like, we're all imperfect. Do you get what I mean? We all are flawed type shit. And I think it's all right, man. I don't think it's something that we should get too hung up on. Because everybody got it, fam. As fucked up as you feel, the next man probably feel as fucked up about himself. And the next woman probably feel as fucked up about herself. Like, everybody has that shit. So it's like, for me at least, it's better, all right, let me embrace this part of my human experience and hopefully use it to propel myself forward. I'll give you a great example, bro. I've never been somebody that's claimed any kind of mental health problems or, you know, anything like that. My parents are from the island, from Jamaica. Like, that just wasn't, even though it was a thing, it just wasn't really a thing in it.
Wasn't a real,
But, and again, this is kind of around like the UBR times and shit. But I remember when, you know, things really first started going. And for me, that was like the first time that shit was properly like going like that, where we doing studio, we pressing up tracks, we performing, we getting invited to different shit. Like, for me, that was the first time where I was on like a kind of a run like that type shit. And I remember even the feeling during that time. Again, obviously, this is like your brainchild, you know what I mean? You guys brought this to life. And like at that point, in terms of just musical education, like you are far beyond myself, Youngs, any of that shit. Like you him in it. And so for me, there was always the chip on the shoulder of like being the extra guy, like being the sixth man off the bench type shit. Like, and always feeling like I had to prove myself. And the thing that I'm good at isn't really the thing that people fuck with, to be fair. So even when I feel like I might be doing good, it might not even be the shit that people want to like hear and shit. And it's like, I remember when the shit started cooking up and Ian Wildman came around and all that sort of shit. And I remember there was one of the things that Ian Wildman. Shout out to Ian Wildman as well. In fact, hold on. Shout out to Ian Wildman as well. I haven't spoken to him in years, man. But yeah, I can't remember how it ended up being, but it was like, yo, come to the crib, man. Like, we'll do some pictures and that. You know what I mean? Obviously, get you some like artist pictures. And I remember making my way on the train to the crib, and obviously he's giving me his address, and it's like evening time, and I'm walking, and you know what I mean? And I remember I'm getting closer and closer to the yard. And I remember I just started to feel so fucking nervous, bro. And like, my hands started shaking and shit. And I remember thinking like, yo, I'm going to go there and he's not even really going to fuck with man like that, because, you know what I mean? Really, these man just fuck with Will, really, bro. These niggas don't really fuck with me like that, bro. You know what I mean? And I'm going to get there. He's not really going to give a shit. And I'm going to try and do the pictures and they're going to come out shit. And then fucking, I'm going to try to play some tunes. And he's not going to like all of this overload of shit. Do you get what I mean? And again, you speak to your girl about this sort of stuff, you speak to her stuff, and people are like, yo, like that's anxiety, bro, innit? Like that's anxiety, innit? And again, I'm never someone who claims shit like that, but I understand what it is. And in understanding what it is, and even in the same moment, I'm going up to Ian Wildman's house. Like, because I used to get that even when we were like performing shit, like right before we go on stage and shit, the exact same thing, bro. Like the exact same thing. My hands start shaking. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna go up there. I'm gonna fuck up the verse. I'm gonna do the, bruh, like. And again, in those moments, we there in the night, we in these clubs, you're not gonna go up to your man and be like, yo, XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. Those man lessons you learn in life teaches that it, bro. However the fuck you feel, you gotta fucking deal with this shit and go do some shit, fam. Do you know what I mean? Fuck how you feel, bro. It don't matter, fam. Do you know what I mean? And so, one thing that I kind of learned about that, because at a point I kind of started to get like worried about it, like shit, man. Like, what if, you know what I mean? I'm starting to go places and feel this way, and the way that I kind of flipped it in my mind was like, yo, if you ever going to go do something and you start to feel this way, it means that you're going to go do something good. Because every time you felt this way, it's like the fear of failure or not being good enough. But then you go and it's a fucking vibe and you have the best time and you all make some dope shit and it's dope every time. So every time you feel this way, instead of just leaning into the feeling that you have, use it as like a traffic light system to know that you need to go and do whatever it is the fuck you're about to go do. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? And again, I don't know if that was followed all the way through, but I'm essentially saying that fucked up feeling, that insecurity in myself of maybe not being good enough or not whatever. It's like I try to use that feeling instead of trying to deny it or push it down or act like it doesn't exist or ignore it. I try to use it as an indication to go and do some shit. And it's like, yo, whenever this thing comes up, it means that you're about to put yourself in an unknown situation that you've not been in before. And if you're going into an unknown situation, that means that you're expanding your world, you're expanding your exploration, you're expanding your understanding, you're expanding your network, you're doing something that expands what you have. In GTA, when you go to new areas, you add those areas to the map. But to add them to the map, you have to go to them first, type shit. Do you get what I mean? And it's like, even just like feeling like anxiety and shit like that, it's like I try to use the fact that I feel it in a way that is productive for me. Does that make sense? As opposed to trying to get rid of it, as opposed to trying to like just not make it happen. It's like, all right, I feel this way. How can I make it beneficial for me? Type shit. I know I went on a bit of a rant just then, but it's just to speak to like, I don't think it should ever be a thing of, we have this like tendency to want to be the finished article while we're on the process of our journey. Like, we want to be the finished product so we can get the journey right. But what we don't understand is the way that you get the journey right is by becoming the finished article. It's not the reverse. The universe only works one way. There's only one universal law, and it turns in a constant direction. Do you get what I mean? And it's like, it's just not to mush it up or nothing, but you just have to really embrace self. And that sounds so easy to just say on the fucking stereo app.
Yeah, it's easy to say the words.
But it's really about truly embracing yourself and embracing every fucked up part of yourself and trying to just love yourself. Like, again, I don't want to mush it up or nothing like that, but it's really that. It's really that. And I think, again, especially as men, I think women deal with it, but like in a different way. I think their thing might come through more, well, actually, it's kind of the same shit. I mean, how you're viewed by society, how you view yourself, your self-image, like, it's kind of the same shit when you think about it. Like,
pretty much the same shit.
But, and again, I think I said this to you offline as well. Like, but we're programmable beings in it. We're beings that are designed to be programmed. That's why they designed programming, because it's like, oh, we can just get these motherfuckers to do what we want if we just fucking show them these shows and play this music. Like we're designed to be programmed. But the dope thing about that is if you figure that out, then you can program yourself to do dope shit. Meaning you can teach yourself to cook, if you put yourself around the right stimuli that teaches you how to do that shit, you could program that shit into yourself. Do you get what I mean? And it's like, as much bullshit as we're programmed into, we have to just try to redirect our programming to things that are going to serve us better. I think that's the best way I can say it. Because something that might serve you better might not serve me. You might really like olives. You might really be like, yo, every time I eat an olive, bro, I just feel fucking nice, bro. I love the taste. Like, it makes me feel like you might really like olives and I don't like olives. So what's going to serve you may not serve me, but it's just about finding ways to reprogram yourself to better serve yourself and thus serve the world around you more, innit? Like, yeah. I think I'm speaking too much just then, so you please talk.
Yeah, man. I think like sometimes it's not. There's not like a day when you wake up and be like, "Oh, I'm in this now." You know what I mean? Like, "Oh, I feel this way now." Like, yeah, you just kind of look around and be like, "Oh shit, man, this is mad. When did we get here?" And yeah, you just because you essentially you're alone in the world in terms of like your consciousness is just here. Like you can't like explain enough to somebody a concept like to where they'll see it exact unless you're talking about something specific. But you can't explain like a concept to somebody to where they'll see it exactly how you're seeing it in your mind. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, one person might be like, I'm drinking, man. You should know about the time when I was on lean or whatever, and I couldn't let that shit go. That was mad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the information gets warped. Do you know what I mean? And depending on how they view it, well, then the feedback. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes, like, I realize that, like, you do that shit, like, in your own mind sometimes when you're in these kind of spaces. Do you know what I mean? You be like both sides. Yeah. And then you ultimately end up defeating yourself, basically.
Because a house divided against itself can't stand in it. And when you're the angel and the devil on your own shoulder, you're conflicted. Why do you think Kendrick kept saying that shit on that Pimp a Butterfly album from? I remember I was conflicted.
Yeah.
Because that conflict, there's nothing that can stand in the midst of that. Do you get what I mean? Like, I remember it was when Tyson Fury was going to fight Deontay Wilder. I think it was the first time. And remember, Deontay Wilder had like the whole mad outfit and the whole, like, he was trying to go for this, like, I'm possessed by the devil, like, mad shit that he was trying to do. And I remember it was in one of the press conferences or the face-off or whatever. And Deontay Wilder's doing all of this, I'm going to take your soul and I'm going to, all the shit, right? And I remember Tyson Fury said to him, this isn't verbatim, but it was something to the effect of, yo, the last time I boxed, I hated myself so much that I wanted to kill myself. I wanted to take my own life away from this world. There's nothing that you can say to me that can put fear in my heart. There's nothing that you can say to me that I haven't said to myself. There's no degree of deprivation or darkness that you can try to speak onto me that I haven't spoken to myself. Like, if I can beat that, there's nothing that you can do with me in that ring. There's absolutely nothing that you can do with me. I don't care what kind of scare tactics you're trying to do. I don't care what kind of, the devil, bruh. It was only God that got through that shit from. And if you've been to the depths of hell that I've been to, then you would realize that all the shit you're doing, fam, I see right through it. Because I really wanted to fucking kill myself, man. Like, I really wanted to do that. So all of this is just what it is, innit? And when that nigga said that shit, I was like, oh, nah, he gonna beat him, you know? Like, this was before they fought. This was before, like, when people were still like, nah, Deontay could, you know, when he said, and again, that's not verbatim, but he was just something to that effect. When he said that shit to him, I was like, oh yeah, nah, bro, nah. Because, again, this is gonna sound fucked up, but I remember I used to say shit like that, like, to, like, not my girl I'm with now. In fact, no, I've said it to my girl I'm with now, but like with girls and shit that you get into like fucking shit with them and that. And they might say, oh, well, you were fucking this or you were that. Well, like, and my favorite line was always like, yo, do you think there's anything that you can say to me that I haven't said to myself? Do you think there's any terrible shit about me that you know that I don't know about myself? I know that I'm a piece of shit. Like, you telling me that doesn't make no difference, sweetheart. Like, I know that I'm a scumbag, bro. Do you get what? And like, and so when Tyson said that shit to me, it was like, I understand the honesty and the level of vulnerability it takes to say, I know that I'm fucked up, but I'm not that I'm cool with it, but I accept it and I embrace it in it. And it's like, I think more than anything else, even just coming off like the episode last week and shit, and I think I said this to you like offline and stuff, but I feel, so this isn't Will saying this, I feel as though a lot in life you probably feel like stifled or not able to say what you want to say, or like always having to like allow some shit or turn the other cheek, or you always have to compromise yourself to appease other people. I feel like you feel that way in it. And because of that, I feel like when man get turn up, bust up on some alcohol thing, that's where I feel like that super belligerent and that aggressiveness comes from. Because again, all alcohol does is lower the inhibitions and shit, and whatever's really in there is able to come out. It just opens the prison doors for them. And whatever's in the cell, fam, can just come out. Do you get what I mean? And I feel like that's why that shit comes out like that, because it's like nah, fuck that. I'm gonna speak now type shit. And I definitely think that if that were the case, because I can't say it is or it isn't, if that were the case, I definitely think that that's a conversation worth having with yourself, however you may do that. I think it's definitely worth speaking to that part of yourself, because it's important to feel heard. And motherfuckers always called me crazy for this back in Leeds and shit when I was a kid. But I'll tell you all a little secret right now, yeah. From a youth, I've always talked to myself, I've always talked about being a room by myself and have a full-blown conversation, because I'm not really talking to myself, you know what I mean? But we're not going to get into that right now. But what I'm saying is, however you do it, it's important to make your inner child feel heard. And I learned that through that is like, well, if motherfuckers don't want to listen to this shit, I'm going to just talk to myself. And what you don't realize is that you are actually speaking to yourself. But deep that. Do you get what I mean? You are actually speaking to yourself. And when you do that, you put in shit into yourself. Pause, my nigga.
Yeah. Pause, man. No, man. Pause, man.
What the fuck was that? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of them ones where it's really actually the last option. Like, it's important to speak life into yourself, in it. Like, it's important to do that, because again, life can just make you feel so unheard a lot of times. As someone, and bro, I know I keep referring to music and shit, but treat it like that, fam. Remember when you couldn't get beats, so you decided you're just gonna make beats yourself?
Yeah.
brother, if you feel like you're in a time where you can't really talk to no one about your shit, fam, talk to yourself. Talk to yourself, fool. You know what I mean? Because as silly as it might sound, it fucking makes a difference. I would recommend talking to yourself to anybody, especially if you got some shit in your mind you feel fucked up about. You'll be surprised at the results. I give you my word. You might feel silly at first if it's not something that you do. You might feel a bit dumb at first, but just start a conversation, and then however you would respond to that conversation, just respond in your mind to yourself, and then answer yourself, and then carry on. And you'll be surprised some of the shit that you get to. Do you get what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know. I think the whole experience of life is worth exploring and seeing what works for you. And some shit that might work for you might be unorthodox, man. You know what I mean? Like, listen, the Rastas and them, they bun that ganja shit like till they in their hundreds and that, bro. Rasta liberty, fam. You know what I mean? Now, according to modern medicine, if you smoke on a regular basis, what you gonna do to your lungs and the Nah, fam. Them man are living closer to nature than a lot of you niggas is living, dog. Do you know what I mean? Them man are living a lot closer to that shit, fam. Do you get what I mean?
Real food for stars.
They eating real food under real sun and real plants, fam. Do you get what I mean? It's like, and that weed thing, despite what this might tell you or that might tell you, that shit help them, fam. They're like, nah, we fuck with that, blood. We on some idle living, some like nature living, and we fuck with that, blood. Do you get what I mean? Because it's whatever works for you. Even if it's something that someone might perceive as a negative thing, if you can make it really work for you, not as a coping mechanism, not as something to get through the day, not as fucking something to just get some shit off, but if you can make something really work for you, man, like, why the fuck not even at least try? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I had to redefine my relationship with alcohol, G. Because I'll tell you the truth, bro, I really like drinking alcohol. It's really fun.
It's good, isn't it?
It's really, really, really fun.
Isn't it?
But what I realized is if you chasing the magic dragon, you'll never catch it. And if you're doing this shit to chase some shit, you're never going to catch what you're chasing.
Nah.
So what you have to do is you have to chill out. I remember there's also a chaser. That was a bar, but we'll leave it alone. What you have to do, what I did, let me know what you have to do. What I did, for me, the alcohol shit stopped being about getting fucked up. For me, it's like, it's similar to how my the street pharmacy thing. It's a vibe. I don't need loads and loads. I'm not trying to get mashed up or get fucked up. I might go in the studio, start doing some shit. I've got like these little shot plastic glasses things that like my girl got me in that. And like before, bro, you seen the glasses I got in my crib and shit. Man used to pour that halfway up with Ray, fam. Now, let's pour a little bit in this little plastic cap, fam. Little bit there and just sip it every so often. Got my juice here, sip the juice, whatever it might be, and I'm cool. I don't need to get fucked up. I don't need to go crazy. I don't need to go mad. I'm cool. And before you know it, just doing that, you're like, oh shit, I'm in a little vibe, fam. Oh shit, I'm in a little vibe, bro. And because my intention towards the thing is different, I feel like the outcome towards me is different. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like...
That makes sense. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Do you get what I mean? It's like, I feel like because my genuine heart intention towards it is different. Because, bro, I remember getting fucked up, fam. And especially in that time after the hangover, like, you wouldn't really feel good, bro. And the drink wouldn't even necessarily feel good going down, but you just trying to push through it and just, do you get what I mean? And it's like, I feel like it treats
you to go work and shit.
Yeah, bro. Do you get what I mean? And it's like, I've just found for myself, like, from the point of view how I want to drink alcohol or why I want to drink alcohol, I've just found that not only has it been a much more pleasant experience for myself, but even like when I talk to my girl and shit, who's been here in the worst times, she'd be like, nah, like I can really see the difference. Like I can see that the whole shit is different now. She'll still troll me and still whatever, cool, but it's like, even her is like, nah, like I can see the difference. And so again, whenever we have these conversations, man, I'm never going to be a nigga to tell someone to not use vices. Alan Watts said that as human sentient beings, vices are the only things that keep us tethered to this world. Vices are important. You have to just make sure you keep your vices disciplined so they work for you. Do you get what I mean? Like, yeah. Again, I've spoken way too much and I'm talking way too much, so please go.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, yeah, we just remember that, like, you know, you don't know anything about even what this is. Do you know what I mean? You were just born. They told you were grown and you're going to be an adult. And then they said, it'll be cool, it'll be fun. And then, yeah, here you are. Years later, grown. Still have no idea what the fuck is going on, but I'm very convinced that you know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one's been here before. We're all having our first go around at this. Nobody's like lived this life like multiple times. This is not a GTA. You know what I mean? Kind of just like keep respawning and be like, I fucked up on that mission. I just turned earlier that time there. Like, it's, yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
But it's like, I think it's easy to know it in your head, but then like you got like, I don't know, you gotta get to like, to feel that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To really like let that shit sink in. Like, yeah, this is your first time. This lifetime.
It's all right.
This life anyway.
It's all right.
This is your first go round.
I heard this saying.
Yeah, even your parents. That's their first time too. Your parents didn't be like, oh, let's like respawn
and do it like, again. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, we fucked up that time. We dropped him on his head. Goddamn. Yeah, we should like respawn. Get like it doesn't.
They don't rock like that.
Yeah. He dropped you on your head, shit. He dropped you on your head. Here's what.
And now carry on, move forward in it. Like you have to just make the best of what's going on. I mean, you can't undrop the baby on the head. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. For real, man.
Yeah.
For real. Nah, it's so true. It's so true. Can I ask you something? And I want you to be honest as well. Like, I want you to actually, like, genuinely be honest. Like, if the answer is yes, cool. If the answer is no, cool, innit? But do you feel like this conversation has helped you all?
Yeah, I would say yeah, most definitely. I would say yeah, most definitely, man. I think it definitely, I don't know, shed some light on a few things. And a few things kind of made more sense. Yeah, man.
Okay.
I would say yeah.
And again, I want to not just big you up, but commend you, like on a serious note, because I think that, again, people listen to the pod and listen to the episodes and it's all entertainment and for the court's sake, and all that stuff in it. But I think when you're the person, when you perform on stage, it looks very different to watching somebody perform on stage. Like the two worlds are completely different worlds that exist. And as someone in the crowd, it's very easy to look on the stage and be like, oh shit, he just messed up a word there, or oh shit, he might have tripped just there, or oh shit, this or that. When you're the person on stage, it's a whole different dynamic that other person can't understand in it. And I think even the fact that you were and have been like willing to even just come and talk about the shit, you know what I mean? Because even when I like asked you before, like if that's something that you'd be down to do, Like, again, I genuinely prepared myself. Not that you would have said, but I prepared myself for you to be like, yeah, nah, but I don't really want to, like, and that would have been cool, innit? And that would have been fine, and that's not a problem. But I really think it's dope that you've been willing to not only listen, but talk about a moment for yourself that may not have been your best moment, and that you're mature enough to be able to face that and discuss it and own it. Like, I think that's really big. And it sounds like a simple thing, but you'll be surprised how many people in life have a problem with accountability. You'll be very surprised, bro. And where I see people be willing to be accountable for even their not so great sides and genuinely talk about it like you have done today, I just want to big that up, bro. Like, I just want to just big that up and say, like, shout out to you, fam. And, like, man, appreciate you just being candid and honest and just really talking up things, you know what I mean? So,
I appreciate it, man. I definitely wouldn't have thought to, like, do this. But then, yeah, man, I appreciate you taking the time to even, like, be checking in and trying to, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Nah, bro. Nah, fam. We hearing it, and it's like I said to you offline, it's like we've got this pod, we've got this platform that we've built out of nothing. We always say it's a safe space, and it's a space where we can come and talk, and it's like one of the sort of issues, say when we were speaking offline, was like, oh, your phone cut out, or my phone cut out, and then now man got to go work, and I'm working this hour, and he's working that hour, and I'll try catch a beer, it's like the time in the day sometimes can be the issue, and it's like, you know what? We've built something where we've allocated a time to talk, and it's like, why not use that time to really talk? Do you know what I mean? Like, to really have a conversation. Because the funny shit and we can do that in our sleep, like, respectfully. We can always do that, you know? And again, I just want to big you up and just say, like, man, I appreciate you being kind of candid and real with it. Like, it's not always easy to talk about these things. So, man, just respect that. You've been like a man and just, like, stood on it in the sense of just taking accountability, bro. Like, yeah, like, I respect that in life, because I've just been around so many people that don't do that. So I just have a huge admiration for when I see that they're doing it. So big up to you, bro. Big up to you.
I appreciate you, my boy. Big up yourself, man.
And big up myself too, I guess.
Listening and shit. Offering advice and shit. Yeah, nah, man. It's like, I think, like, a bit better than me at the shit, but, like, you, like, downplay yourself a lot, man. I think, like, you should even press the buttons for you on my behalf, man. One time. Yeah, thank you. I was gonna say, where the applause up?
You know what it is? Because, again, whenever people who genuinely know me, like, tell me things that they think about me and shit, I always try to embrace that, because it's like, that's somebody who knows me giving that opinion. So it's like, I'd certainly get where it comes across that man trying to downplay myself in it. And maybe to a degree I do. Maybe to a degree. But I think it's more so a thing of, like, I don't know, a thing of, like, as highly as anybody may think of me, this is how highly I think of you type shit. It's like, yeah, cool, like, yeah, man, do that, but, like, I don't want that to outshine that I'm trying to big you up. Like, one thing a pattern I found throughout my life is, like, I have this ability to speak to people and make them feel good. Like, I can just, whether people are telling me some shit they're going through, or we're just having a conversation or whatever, it's like I can speak to something and my words are able to, like, impart good energy to people. Do you get what I mean? And it's like, I've always tried to use that, like, to empower the people around me and empower the people I fuck with. Do you get what I mean? Again, even when we speaking offline and shit, and I'd be like, bro, listen, I gotta remind you who the fuck you is, bro. Like, you him, you know what I mean? You like, I try to use my words to empower my people, and it's like, whenever somebody's giving me those kind of accolades and shit, it's nice. It is really nice to be appreciated and for someone to recognize shit. Like, don't get it fucked up. It is nice in it, but I think for myself, maybe as almost like a humbling technique. I try not to ever get too like wrapped up in it, like too like, oh yes, I am really good at that, aren't I? Like, you know what I mean? Unless it's these bars and this beat, then like it's you know what I mean?
Like, sometimes smell the flowers, bro. Sometimes.
No, you're right. You're right. And I want to try.
Sometimes you don't get flowers and you ain't gonna smell none of them on time. Bro.
No, you're right, bro. You're right. And I do want to get better at that. Because there isn't anything wrong with when someone says something, you know what I mean, good about you and shit. There's nothing wrong with embracing that, you know what I mean? So I do want to get better at that because I know that it's something that I do a lot. You know what I mean? I can deflect compliments and shit, you know what I mean? So that is something I better and shit. But like, now, man, just again, I wanted this episode to really just be what it was, like just a discussion where man can just talk in it. Like, we don't have to go to no topics, and we don't have to think. Like, we can just talk about just life and how it can feel shit sometimes. You know what I mean? And yeah, I'll be honest with you, bro. I mean, if you, again, you feel like you want to express some more and there's more shit you just want to kind of vocalize and get off, bro, like, I want to be all ears in it. Because again, I've already spoken more than I plan to speak on this podcast. Do you get what I mean? So I want to give you the space and the floor to like do that if you want to, man. But to be honest with you, I don't really have anything else to sort of ask you. Like, it seems that, you know, you definitely, as the days go on, it seems as though there's a conscious effort to want to be better, even if the body's not always willing. There's a conscious effort to want to be better, and as long as that pulse is there, if you genuinely focus on that, begin to challenge yourself to be better and shit like that, even if you just start small, whatever, like you can do that shit, bro. You can do that shit.
Nah,
so again,
yeah, man. I don't know. The first thing I should do is put them projects out. And yeah, I think that's what I need to do. Like a gesture, if you will.
Appease the spirits.
Yeah, type shit. And then, yeah, man, just get, I don't know, to start like listening for the directions again.
No,
because you start listening when you out here, when you're outside on the inside.
Yeah.
You definitely stop. You definitely stop hearing directions. It's not like the directions are not being sent, but you just don't hear that shit because let me talk. You'll never let me land.
Nah. No, for real.
Yeah, man, I think,
And again, I don't want to sound all like therapy coaching with you and shit, and I'm so sorry to interrupt you, fam, but it might be a good exercise to really start imparting that on the world where you can. If you're having certain conversations and shit, and you feel like your voice is being downtrodden a bit, communicate that shit. Like, yo, listen, please, like, please let me just talk. Like right now, I kind of feel, you know what I mean? It's a very vulnerable space to put yourself in, feeling wise, but I think it is important to speak to the external world so that the external world can respond. You know? Like, yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, it was a good interjection. Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to say to you. Huh?
Is that the right word to put in there? It's the right one, right?
Yeah, interjection. Yeah, that's the right word. I guess what I'm trying to say to you, bro, is like, assert your voice in confidence, not in rage or in anger. Do you get me? Like, you don't have to drive yourself to your limit in order for your voice to be heard. Your voice is valuable, and it's your duty to command your external to learn how to respect that. That don't just mean, yo, I say some shit, it's that. That doesn't mean that. But it means and again, you can just start with like the smallest of interactions, bro. Like you fucking like Johnny, or you go to the shop, or you just talk to someone. Like, it don't have to be no major shit. Just in certain instances where you may naturally put yourself down so someone else can think, express, well, you know what, actually, nah, like, I'd rather not do that, or I'd rather not XYZ, or I'd rather, like, one thing my mum's always told me from a kid, from a youth, and this is probably why I speak so goddamn much, but was, listen, you can always express how you feel. And no matter what anybody tells you, there's nothing wrong with expressing how you feel. As long as you do it with respect and you honor people when you do it. If you disagree with somebody, there's nothing wrong with that. If you've got a different opinion, there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't want to do something that somebody want to do, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you express that, communicate that in a proper way, if that's not then respected, that shows you everything that you need to know. Do you know what I mean? My mum's told me that from a youth, fam. Do you get me? So you know me, fam. When I got a point, I got to explain it 27 different times, bro. You know what I mean? So niggas get my shit. It's like, yeah, man. It's insert or assert, not insert, but assert your voice into this world, man. You got a powerful voice, bro. And you don't need anger to propel your voice. If there's anything else I want to say to you, is that.
No, for real.
You know, and I know that you may feel that.
I gotta work that out first.
But you have to understand that the anger is there, and don't treat it like it's not there, and don't treat it like it's fucked up and it's this and it's that. It's there. You have to make friends with it. Yeah. I remember the nigga Daylight was on one of his Instagram lives, and he was talking about like demons and shit like that. And he was saying like, yo, listen, you go to the church and they tell you, demons and da-da-da-da-da. You see me? Demons try and fuck with me, bro. I just make friends with them, fam. Because all these niggas, they just lost souls in it. They just lost souls, bro. You think niggas want to be demons? They don't want to be demons, bro. Do you know what I mean? They just lost souls wandering, so they come into your house and they be like, oh, I'm gonna scare you. Oh. And more time, motherfuckers act scared and they run, so then they do that whole shit. But a demon pull up on me, bro, and be like, yo, my nigga, what you saying, bro? I used to pull up on man, bro. You got any weed on you and shit, fam. Like, we can just smoke, talking it like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, what are you saying?
Like, Daylight's a madman, innit? But it's like, the concept is essentially to embrace the dark elements, to embrace the shadow self. That's essentially the concept, innit? Embrace your shadow self. Don't treat it like it's the bad guy, because it's not the bad guy. Your shadow self is a very, very important part of yourself. And like, as you said about sort of feeling split from yourself, if you ever want to feel joined back to yourself, you have to connect back to yourself. And when people say that, people think about, oh, go back to Africa and touch the ground. And but it can be as simple as just starting to fucking forgive yourself, my G. It can be as simple as just starting to really think, you know what? I don't feel like I trust this shit. But the only way I'm going to ever trust this shit again is by taking the risk on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all right to not have all the answers now. Like, that's not a problem. This life is designed so you don't have all the answers right now. Because if someone can have all the answers right now, then somebody would have all the answers right now. That's the thing.
Yeah.
If it could be done, then somebody somewhere, somebody would have done it. Anything that can be done, somebody somewhere has done it. There's nothing new under the sun. Do you get me? So the fact that no matter how many millions and billions and gajillions and trillions of people have been born, no one has ever had all of this shit locked down. And take some fucking solace in that, bro. Dave released an album said, "We're all alone in this together, fam." And that's a beautiful title when you really deep it.
No,
because it's true. Because it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's true.
Because consciousness.
Because consciousness, fam. Do you get what I mean? And it's like, run towards it. Don't run away from it. Do you get what I mean? Because consciousness isn't good or bad. It's enlightenment about self and about the world around you. You know what I mean? So,
for sure.
Yeah.
Man, I've been thinking about doing something like, well, not drastic. Actually, it sounds like so dramatic, but like, you know, the fruit diet too. I keep seeing that motherfucker, that Broly Games motherfucker on the fucking the YouTube shorts, man. And he's like, dude, and I'm like, yeah, I'm starting eating these some bananas too, fam.
I'm going to fucking tell you something right now, yeah? I'm going to tell you something right now, yeah? And this is something I think people kind of know on a basic level, but I don't think people really deep how important it is. You see, in regards to, again, things like mental health and, you know, these kind of social and mental sort of disorders people have and shit. People don't realize how heavily a diet is tied into that shit. Think about this, Will, and people that are listening. Think about this. Why do you think the intestines look exactly like the human brain? Why do you think that is?
Because they thinking like a motherfucker, fam.
The shit that you put into your body, the diet that you have, the food that you eat, all that shit, even if you don't think, and I know people think about counting calories and maybe getting fat. I'm not talking about that, though. I'm talking about the literal minerals and products you put into your shit has an effect on how you feel. And a lot of people that feel fucked up, there's a whole joke on like TikTok and shit where it's like when your girl crying all day, she said she's been depressed for a week, and you have to remind her that her iron's low and she ain't drunk no water. It's like lol, but actually, do you get what I mean? Yeah. Like lol, but actually, if you're not putting certain things into your body, that can have an emotional response, and you can start to feel fucked up. And if you don't put two and two together, you'll never really understand, and you'll attribute it to this in your life and this in your life, and I'm fucked up, and I've got this disorder, and I've got this wrong with me, and I've got that. And really, you just need to clean your system up, because there's just bare bullshit in there. Do you know what I mean? Like,
man, and also, people be like, oh man, yeah, you get skinny, yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like gorillas, all they eat is fruits and leaves and shit, and bamboo shoots or whatever.
They don't eat no chicken, no burger, no protein shake, none of that, bro. And look at them fuckers, fam. You know what I mean?
I saw a video of this Russian guy with his with a friendly bear of his or whatever. I guess one of the training partners or whatever. He trying to feed Big Mac. That motherfucker hit his face and said, "Nah, you good, son. You got it." Said, "Nah, thanks."
And even like the grizzly bears and shit, bro. You see them, and like I think we did this on the pod. Like this might have been quite a few episodes back, but about like the most deadly like land animals and shit. And you see like them grizzly bears, bro, killing machines, fam. The fucking sheer force and power of their shit, bro. Like you not doing no hand-to-hand combat with no grizzly bear any day of the week ever, bro. I don't care who you is. It's never happening, bro. That shit's fucking you up every day. But them motherfuckers, bro, eat fish and fruit and leaves, brother.
Just
not a gym or a protein shake in sight anywhere.
So not a gym or a protein.
Not no counting calories shit. Not no fucking, oh, I'm lactose intolerant or I don't eat gluten or fucking, you know what I mean? Them motherfuckers just berries and fruit and leaves and fish and they ginormous, dog. You know what I mean? So like, I think diet is such a big part of shit as well. And like, even making a change and just like, I'm going to have more of this in my diet. I'm going to eat more fruit. I'm going to drink more water. I'm going to fucking eat just things like that, bro. You'll be surprised at the difference that it makes. Honestly, you'll be so surprised at the difference it makes.
Nah, for real. I think, like you're saying, even when we was talking about the rest of them, before, like, they eat and like, they pick that shit. You know what I mean? Whatever they eat, they like picking that shit direct. Or like they're getting it from somebody that had picked it direct. It's not coming from the supermarket. It's not coming from fucking Spain. It's not fucking plastic wraps.
It's not sprayed with no shit or injected with no shit.
Or none of that shit from this fucking there.
It's like, yo, man picked this yesterday and needs to be eaten by tomorrow type shit.
I used to
because that's how nature exists. Nature is a right now thing in it. Like,
what's that? Ross Mokel. I actually watch him, and obviously, like they just live out there in the country, wow, that's a weapon. And he was just like, there's this one episode where he took like his little like grandsons to like the little like a river that was near, and they caught like loads of like crayfish or something like that. Yeah, took them back, cooked that shit, made a mad meal with that shit. Yeah, it's just there. It's there. There's no like, I had to go ask her and get these things that are like been in the pack since like last week or something at the earliest.
Nah, legit.
You just get it like right there. So like even if it is like fish or whatever, it's like you just getting it from like direct the source.
Yeah, like this shit was caught this morning type shit. And if this shit don't sell by the end of the day tomorrow, we just gotta give this shit to like the birds and that, because you know what I mean? We're not gonna spray it with no shit, or we're not gonna inject it with no shit. It's just gonna be what it is. And if you catch it now, this shit gonna be the livest shit.
Or even just take it home and eat it.
Or even just take it home and eat it. Do you get what I mean? Because it's like, again, when you think about shit like that, and then you think about like supermarkets, and you go in there, and the chicken is cut up, and it's this and it's that, and it's like, you got a week, it expires on this day type of thing. It's like, even just the whole process, like, it's mad in it. It's mad in it.
Bro, I've just deep something here. You see, like, in cities, especially, there's like designated places where there's trees and flowers and shit.
Yeah.
Ain't a single fruit tree. Ain't no apples just growing wild. Ain't no goddamn.
My dad said some
berries.
Yeah, I remember my dad
some berries and shit. But like, imagine the scenario like this here. You're homeless in whatever city you're in. But there's these trees that like grow wild in like parks or whatever. They make fruits or whatever. They can just go there and eat fruits. And now, not even by choice, but by restriction, you're a fruitarian. You just eat fruits now.
That's all there is to eat, isn't it?
And that's all there is to eat.
And you know what happens? It's like if you would drop somewhere and that's all you could eat and shit. At first, your stomach would hurt. and you'd be shitting like a motherfucker, and it would be all fucked up, bro.
Yeah, because you're cleaning out.
Once your body go through that process, fam, it's gonna come out the other side a whole better creation, fam. And that's the whole point of all the shit we spoke about today, innit? Is like you gotta go through the process of getting all of that shit out of you, with it. Like
the toxins.
All of those toxins and all of that shit, you gotta go through the process of detoxing yourself. And detoxing is not easy, fam. Like, it's not. And that's why motherfuckers gotta go to rehab and controlled environments to do that shit, fam. Like, it's not an easy thing for that shit to leave your system, because while it's leaving your system, it's screaming at you, dog, saying, "Feed me, please! Feed me!"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the shit is screaming at you, fam. But it's like, once it gets out of your system, it's like, bro, it's like venom. It's like having venom, the fucking symbiote on you, bro, and getting that shit off you, fam. It's gonna take quite a bit to fucking get it off you, fam. But once it's off you, you're gonna fucking feel the difference. You're gonna fucking feel like, oh shit, I actually got this fucking shit off me, bro. And that shit was controlling my brain and controlling my... That symbiote shit is crazy, fam. Even back to nature we're talking about, it's like, you seen those videos on like TikTok or YouTube or whatever, where it's like the fucking parasite takes over an insect's body and shit. And the insect is dead, but he driving the fucking body and shit. And it's like, brother, like, that's the symbiotic relationship a lot of this shit has with us. Do you get what I mean? It's like, it's a symbiotic relationship a lot of these vices have with us. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, you have to either tame your symbiote or get the fuck rid of it. You know what I mean? And usually when you tame it, you got to make friends with it somehow and be like, all right, bro, listen, you want to while out the time? You want to while out all the time? But while out all the time fucks everything up for me, so we can't do it like that. So let's figure out, what do you want? What is it that you want out of me? And what do I want out of you? Let's figure this out. Like, let's come to an agreement so that the vice works good for you and you work good for the vice. You know what I mean? Like,
down. Like you said, make friends with.
Because if it's not a friend, it's an enemy, bro. It's very simple, fam. Yeah. If you don't make friends with it, it's going to be an enemy to you, fam. You know what I mean? That's why certain motherfuckers, you see them and they get drunk and they become a whole different person, bro. Somebody you don't recognize type shit. Yeah. And sometimes, even when you might have been drunk yourself, you become a person you don't even recognize type shit. Because you ain't made friends with that shit, fam. I wish you watched Naruto, fam. I wish you watched the anime Naruto, fam. Because there's a perfect analogy for this shit, but if you haven't watched Naruto, it's not going to make sense.
No, I've watched a couple episodes. I watched, I think, like, most of the first season, but, like, yeah.
Very simply, the character Naruto, he basically has, like, a demon that's been sealed inside of him. The Nine-Tails demon. Naruto, for a lot of the series, goes through the conflict of trying to keep the Nine-Tails held down, and the Nine-Tails is trying to fucking burst out of him. And for a long time, there's this conflict of him trying to keep it down, like there's a conflict in it. But then it gets to the point where he essentially goes into his own subconscious and he speaks to the thing, and he's basically like, yo, dog, we can't keep fighting like this. You are in me, and there's nothing I can do about that. But at the same time, you in me, and there's nothing that you can do about that. So if we keep beefing, it's going to keep just getting fucked up. So we have to find a way to work together. Like, we have to be cool. We have to be brethrens. Because if we're brethrens, where your strengths are and where my strengths are, we can bring them together as opposed to you and me doing conflict. Because again, I go back to the alcohol thing, fam. Say what you want about it, but I give you a word, fam. Sometimes a good sip or two in your system can unlock some shit, fam. It can.
Yeah.
It did. But when that shit tries to overpower you, then you find yourself in conflict with it, trying to hold it down while it's overpowering you. You gotta make friends with the symbiote, dog. You gotta make friends with the demon fox. You know what I mean? Like, you have to make peace with it. Because as long as there's no peace, it's war. An internal war, a house divided against itself cannot stand. You know what I mean? Like,
nah, it will always fall.
It will always fall. So you got to embrace that shit,
you
man.
end up defeating yourself. Yeah, you see, that's the thing. You end up defeating yourself.
Again, bro, I say this all the time, and like, I know that as someone who creates music, I know that sometimes you're not always in the music-y mode. But I'm telling you, fam, and it was my girl who taught me this. I remember, again, we would get into shit sometimes, and she would say to me, yo, it's all cool because sometimes we get into shit and shit's mad, and you can just go in the studio and you can just like record that shit and just get it out. Like, I don't have a studio that I can go into. Like, I don't have something like that I can just get the shit out. And it made me realize that, yo, rah, this thing that man do, it's a gift. Because not everybody can do it. And not everybody does do it. It's a gift. It really is a gift. And if you've been given the gift of something that can be therapeutic, it's always optimal to use it therapeutically. Meaning, if you feel like you've got rage and anger inside you, dog, if you're not taking all that rage and anger out on the mic, I don't know what you're doing. And I know that it's not as simple as that. I know. But even if it's something as simple as what you did on 100 days and 100 nights, bro, you know what? I'm not going to make my own shit. I'm going to go find some shit that can bring something else out, bro. Like, even if it's that, fam, I feel like being given the gift that you've been given with the music shit, it's like, use it, fam. Not every track has to fucking go out and have a marketing run and a promo run, fam. Bro, if you just need to fucking get rage out on the mic, like, fucking use it to rage, fam. Do you know the early mornings I've been in this studio getting rage out on the microphone, fam? On the track that you lot will hear later this year when the shit comes out, bro. I talk about that shit, bro. I do war on this microphone, fam. I almost passed out on this shit, fam.
Hey.
Do you get me? And it's like, it's already a built-in element that allows you to be as open and vulnerable as possible. And just even back to what you said about like taking music down and shit like that. I remember, again, me and my girl, when we first started, getting together, when I first started doing music and shit. I remember one thing I always said to her was like, yo, anything I say in this music, I don't ever want you to ever come and like challenge me about. Okay, not that you can't challenge me or talk to me about it, because you can, but this shit here is where I can be my truest version of myself. And sometimes I might say some shit that you're not gonna like, but I need for you to allow me to do that, because that's part of my creative process. And believe me, there's tunes that I've got that are fire that Shorty will just not listen to, because she's like, nah, like, you talking about this on the tune and you talking about that. And I remember like we was going through this, and then you did like there's certain tracks that's just like, yeah, it's a fire song, but I'm not gonna listen to that anytime soon. And I can accept that, but it's like, for me, it's like, if I'm not using this thing to express something beyond anywhere else I can express it, then I'm misusing it.
Yeah.
Then I'm misusing it. Not everything has to be a banger. Not everything has to have a hook and a verse and a bridge and a slap. And like, the gift of this shit is being able to just put something on. And even if you got to loop something for 220 shits, bro, just being able to get some shit off, bro. You can save it. You can fucking do it. Whatever the fuck it is, bro. You ain't got to never see the light of day again, fam. But I think it's important to use the tools at your disposal. It's important to use the gifting that you have to benefit your situation. And that's not always nice. And even sometimes when you're doing that shit, recording that shit, it don't always feel the greatest to do it. But sometimes after that process and after you've done it, you wake up the next day and you just feel lighter. There's something you just feel like, oh shit, like I got that off my soul. You know what I mean? Like, when you have a cold in that, once the cold is out of your system, you don't feel better automatically. You feel that you're starting to feel better, but you still feel a bit run down and shit. Then you go sleep, wake up the next day, you're like, oh shit, like I feel better, like I do. Oh shit, that medicine I took last night, like I'm glad I took that because I feel better now. And although I didn't feel it then, I feel it now. So, utilize that shit.
Nah.
If you want to trust the music again, bro, put everything into it, bro. All the fucked up shit, all the shit that you can't say to people because they won't understand, all of that, bro. If you want to trust this music shit again, bro, put all of that in there and you'll fucking trust it, fam. I promise you, fam, you'll trust it.
Yeah, for real. I need to, same, at least.
And if not, bro,
like you say,
and if not, sorry, I was gonna say, and if not, you can always just send me beats to work on this YMRG singing it, like, you know what I mean?
Nah, for sure. As like I think right now, it's just just kind of.
Have you ever thought about just taking like not a vacation, like going abroad necessarily, but just going somewhere by yourself?
Yeah, I had planned on doing that, but my plan's been stifled by some other plans.
I would definitely say, if you get an opportunity to, even if it's just like a weekend or something, or just like a day or two or whatever, if you get the chance to just go somewhere, even if it's somewhere you've never been, and just go by yourself, I would say do it. I would say definitely do it. I've had very microscopic versions of that shit. And one thing in my own life I find a lot is that outside of being in the studio, I don't really get to spend a lot of time just by myself.
Yeah.
And even when you're in the studio, usually you're doing shit and you maybe try and find time to just have some alone time, but more time you're doing shit. But it's like, I think, especially for someone who thinks a lot and feels a lot and shit like that, I think just having time alone is really important. It's just a really important thing to try and introduce to your shit, you know what I mean?
Definitely needed, I think.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Also been, but now, like,
just go on that Google thing and book a flight trip out of nowhere out of Lisbon for like 30 quid or whatever.
You don't have to do that. Yeah, no, you don't have to do that. Like, you can, you don't have to. You know what I mean?
It doesn't have to be all that, but like it could be.
You know what I realized? Even like in just the UK and shit, there's so much of the UK that I haven't seen, bro. Like there's so much of this. Like
saying this to you the other day, I can't remember who I was saying it to, but exactly the same thing. It's like it's big.
Like it seems small because we look at world maps and we compare it to other places and shit. But it's like, for as much of the UK that I've seen, and I have seen a lot of different parts, for as much that I've seen, there's also so much that I haven't seen. You know what I mean? And it's like,
I'd even go as far as to say I've seen what there is out there that I haven't seen is more than what I have seen.
No, absolutely. Especially those kind of off the map kind of areas type shit where you would never just go. You know what I mean? Like you would never just go there type shit. Like
you kind of stumble upon it and be like, oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, exactly, man. But nah, man, it's all a journey, bro. It's all a journey, man. And like, that's the beautiful and the tragic thing about it. You know what I mean? The tragic thing is like when you feel like you fucked up, it's very easy to get lost in that because you can't undo the fuck up. as much as you try.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing about it is that God blessing you, like, tomorrow you can try again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can try again.
And again, the next day, and again, the next day. So,
and I definitely think, and just for the sake of the pod listeners and shit, not next week, but the week after, there's not going to be any pod episode. There's not going to be like bank holiday week, whichever Friday that falls on or Saturday that falls on. There's not going to be any episode that week. But I think even
is it not next week? I thought it was next week.
Now next week, I think next week should be cool, but it'll be hold on. See, I've been getting confused by this like all month, bro. Hold on. See? No, I was wrong. See? I was wrong. Next week, so not the week after.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah, I wasn't bugging.
Next week, there won't be an episode. There won't be any pod episode. Again, Will and myself, we're going to go up to the city, go see Mama Francis, you know what I mean, and catch a vibe and shit around carnival time.
Yeah, man.
And I think even something like that will be really good, man. I think it'll be, because I don't think, even if you've been to Leeds before, I don't think you probably would have experienced Leeds during carnival time.
No.
So, like, I think it'll just be a nice, different change of environment. Obviously, your G, Drizzy gonna be there. You know what I mean? You can meet Mama Francis and that. And it's just gonna be some, like, good vibes type shit. If we get some time, if we need to go book my old man, you know what I mean? Go smoke and reason with my old man and shit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, man, we'll make a time of it.
Yeah.
We'll make a time.
So yeah, sorry guys, no pod next week.
Yeah, no pod next week. Yeah. No pod next week. You have to just catch us. What I might do, depending on again, I want to speak to Will and see how he feels about it. What I might do is we might put out the chaotic episode 109 next week, so y'all don't miss out. But we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. Again, that shit is still available on stereo. If you want to go hear the chaotic episode that inspired this episode, go listen to that shit now, because I'm going to make that shit private very soon, so you can't hear it until we upload it. But yeah, man. This has been really good. This has only been really good. Like, there's something very, for me anyway, there's been something really refreshing about this episode. And I just really want to big you up for that, and just your willingness to just be like, nah, bro, like, yeah, let's talk about it, man. Like, yeah, it happened, and like, yeah, let's talk about it. Like, I think that's super dope, bro. And I want to big that up.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Again, big up to you for taking the time.
Nah, absolutely, man. And again, I know it's not like man ain't saying it like, oh well, it's done now and everything's blessed and we good. Like, I know that it's a journey, innit? It's a journey, innit? And again, I want to open it up again to yourself. You know, if you just maybe just want to speak for a bit, if there's anything that you just want to say, because to be honest with you, I'm good. This has been amazing, bro. Honestly, this has been great. I don't have anything else that I feel is necessary to get off. So I just want to leave this space open for you if there's anything else you want to kind of go into or anything.
I think if anyone else out there is feeling a way, let's say, about things in the past, maybe decisions that you made, or what circumstances that you were in, or what how you react to certain shit, or like whatever it might be. No, it's your first time. I guess say it again, it's your first time. And like just said, you can't start finished. And I'm saying that more so even to me than to anyone else. I take time with that shit, man. I just, yeah. and you can't pause the movie at the scary bit. Go watch that bit so you can watch the next scene. Yeah, you can't always run away from the shit. Because more time, like me that time, when I was running down the street with the phone to my ear, the conversation is still happening in your head wherever you run. So yeah, you can't run from that shit, man. So take time with it, man. Take time with yourself. Take time with, that inner being. You know what I mean? Because, as much as we be patient to and kind to and loving to our loved ones, we should at least extend the same, at least in some form, to ourselves. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. I think it's also very important to kind of realize that, like, all this is happening, but then it's not really, it's not really happening. All that stuff, it's like, all that's happening is a moment, and everything else is like things that are happening in your head. Like, now is a moment. That's all that there is. There's no like later. There's no like before. It's just right now. That's all it ever is. And sometimes, we get stuck in either direction, and either one can have bad consequences. It's like with driving, right? It's good to check the rearview mirror, you know what I'm saying? Check the side mirrors and shit. But like, if you drive just staring at the rearview mirror, you're gonna crash. And also, if you reverse it into a parking spot or some shit, and you don't look backwards, it's more time gonna crash. If you're just looking forwards, more time you're gonna crash. Can't see behind you. You know what I mean? That's like, you've got the ability to look back at things, the hindsight thing, and pick out things and be like, hey, I can learn from that. Or like, that was this, or blah, 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 blah. And you've also got the ability to look forward and be like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to see this, and I'm going to eat this, and I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to, like, you have the ability to look backwards in your rearview mirror and forwards in your thingy mirrors. But you need the balance, you know what I mean? You need to like be able to check everything all at once. Well, not all at once, but in, what's the word that I'm looking for? Like in equal measure, if you will. You gotta be able to look backwards and stay here in the now, and look forward and stay here in the now. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you can take lessons from either direction. It's like if you take lessons from the forward direction, it's like that's you making plans, right? That's you like writing it down, like writing down your goals, or writing down the things that you want to like achieve, making a tick list and shit. And backwards is like, maybe that time that I shouldn't have said this, or I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't have drunk that much that time, or whatever. But like being here in the now is like, okay, this tick list I made, I'm gonna start crossing it off. Or like, okay, from now on, I'm not gonna drink that much when I go to like family gatherings or like, or I'm not gonna say this in this situation next time I do. You know what I mean? It's like being here now is the important part, and doing or actioning the lesson, if you will. Yeah. And like life can be a cool teacher, fam. Back at, I don't know about here, if that used to happen here back in the day, but like when I was in, like, yeah, motherfuckers were still liable to get the case, fam. You might just get your ass whooped. And you start fucking around, and you get sent to the principal's office here, you gotta get your ass whooped, fam. And it's like, yeah, life can be a cruel teacher, fam. You can just wake up one day and be like, yeah, you said 2 + 2 = 5. Yeah. What?
Fuck all that.
I taught you better than that. What? But at the same time, it can also be kind of nurturing in the sense that, like, it'll give you a spark for something. Something for you to follow. It's like a clue. Now you go around and covering all these things, like picking up all these skills and like being able to do this, and you go here and you meet these people and go at work and do this. It's like it will do that. You know what I mean? But as a good teacher, you know what I mean? Even when it's doing that for you, it's like there'll still be things in there that like show how serious this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just realizing that I'm dealing with the shit as from a now perspective and not from like a before or in the future perspective. If you know or you're going through something or whatever, just try and be more in it now. I know it sounds like I don't know, but like I guess maybe something actionable that you can do is like, let's say, I don't know, you might be like at home or wherever. You get to start to think about a bunch of stuff. Just pick up like a pen, a pencil, paper, anything writing instrumentally or anything that you can scribble on, and just like doodle something. Doesn't have to be anything. Doesn't have to like be a mad, like realistic drawing or anything like that. Just pick up the pencil and just doodle the shit.
Yeah, right.
And then just see where that goes for a few minutes. And then after that, you know what I mean? It's like you're back again in the present moment for a bit. And then you might wander off, some of the shit might start happening. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Just try and distract yourself. You know what I mean? Try and do not necessarily productive things, but like, things that make you feel like you're not wasting your time.
Nah, shit. Like actually.
And then, man, just build it from there. And just keep moving, man. Just keep moving.
I think that's a great place to stamp it, to be fair, man. Again, I want to big up all the people that have listened so far this episode. I see you all in all this shit. I see you all there. You know what I mean? We appreciate you taking the time. Do you know what I mean? I want to thank my guy.
We appreciate y'all
having a really dope, open conversation. And again, we just, as we keep saying, it's a safe space and shit. We actually use it as a safe space, man. So, man, appreciate you doing that, man. We are going to continue to build what we're doing. Do you know what I mean? So, not to put no cheap plugs in there, but again, listen on the Stereo app. Make sure you follow Secret Life of Will. That's slow 1524. You know what I mean? And follow myself, Drew's OnlyMans podcast. And make sure you hit the link at the top of that shit. Go subscribe to the YouTube page, man. That's what we're trying to build at the minute. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're trying to continue to build that. So if you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube, you can go listen to a lot of the past episodes on there. They all look for your streaming pleasure. Do you get what I mean? As we said, we're not going to be here next week. So just know we're not going to be here next week. But we certainly, God's Spirit Life, will be back to give you a round of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Big up to
some interesting stories.
You know what I mean? I'm sure there'll be some interesting stuff. I'm sure there'll be some interesting stuff. You get me? So yeah, man, we'll be there with all. But no, Will, I definitely just again, I just want to beat you up, bro. Thank you, guys.
Honestly, thank you, my bro. That's what I appreciate it, man. That's a lot.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And just as you continue on your journey, man, just know that it's with purpose. As shit as it may be at any point, there is purpose to it, and your mission is to find the purpose in it. Like,
As we move, it's about just reconnecting the mission with the baby.
That's it. Literally just reconnecting back to self in it. Like literally, like reconnecting back to inner self and your younger self, your inner child shit. Yeah, for real, man.
And again, we appreciate the listeners. Again, apologies for last week. That was my fault completely. I think from now, especially like pod days, like now I'm allowed.
And I'm going to tell you something as well, bro. I'm going to tell you a little cheap little hack that might make it a bit. You see, if you can get yourself to a place where you're just like, alright, bro, I'm just going to chill for a week or for whatever amount of time. You see, when your next sip something, so nice, and it hits you so purely that you don't even.
I said it hits you so purely.
If you take your time with it, and you've not done that like for a week or whatever the fuck, and you sip something, bro, like you don't even need the whole thing. Like you can just catch a nice vibe accidentally. You get what I mean? It's like, It's there is a hack to it, man. But you just gotta figure out the moves for yourself, innit? Like I can't teach you about the combination, you know what I mean? You just gotta see how it puts for yourself, you know what I mean?
I think I kind of got like a little, I don't know, like a little plan of action around.
Okay, that's dope.
So now I think, at some point, the ideal, I guess, is just maybe like sometimes or when there's a reason.
Nah, I hear that, bro. I hear that, bro. And again, man, like, just be intentional with that plan of action. Just be very intentional with it. You know what I mean? At certain points, you might feel yourself challenged and feel a bit like, well, do everything that you can do to see it through. And the feeling you get on the back end of that shit, it's dope, innit? Yeah, for real.
I mean,
Trust me.
I see it. I've seen
it. Exactly, man.
Yes, it's interesting.
Exactly, man. And it's a journey, bro. So just see how you get along with the shit. Say you get along with the shit, for real, man. Now, people, we want to thank you for listening, man. We appreciate y'all. This has been the OnlyMans podcast, episode 110.
110.
One of those things. You know what I mean?
I'm sure you can't get jiggy with this shit.
Say again?
I said, I'm sure you can get jiggy with this shit.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm not gonna do, bro? I'm not even gonna play the outro on this one, fam. I'm not gonna play the music on this one. We'll just let this one live in it. Like this one can just live. 110. Nice mile mark and shit. Like it's cool, isn't it? Listen, fuck with y'all. We appreciate y'all. The OnlyMans podcast episode.
You can call it a moment of silence.
Oh yeah. We can do that.
Yeah, bro. 110 moment of silence.
110 moment of silence. Broski, big love, big appreciation. Thank you again, fam. Until we speak again, yeah? Peace.
Yeah, big love and big appreciation to you as well, my boy. Peace, love, and blessings, my boy.
My brother. Peace.
Yeah, peace.